Okay, Hagscast episode 5. We're on with Vanish today. How are you doing, Vanish?
Oh, very well, thanks, mate. Yourself?
I'm brilliant, man. Fifth episode. I managed to get Sandman in on the spur of the moment, but last week I was dying, and it's just not been a good week, like. So, aye, finally got you on. So where do you come from?
Where I come from, I am living in Doncaster, South Yorkshire.
South Yorkshire. See, the wife, she's for Huddersfield. You know where that is?
Of course, I know what that is. It's like round the corner.
All right. Okay. That's. She's away down there tomorrow, so she's driving down.
Yeah, Huddersfield's just outside Leeds.
Aye, I think. I don't know. I'm Scottish. I'm ignorant to that. Aye. That's...
I was drunk there once, I'm sure.
You were drunk there once. I remember it vaguely.
It was fairly vague, too.
That's a good effort, like. Oh man. How pushed did you get at PreachCon this year?
Not as pissed as last year, although on the first day I wasn't in a great state.
Ah, right, okay. Fair enough.
About 3 o'clock on the first day, I was in a bit of a state. Although I sobered up and I finished fine. I finished strong.
Good man, good man. Yeah, I peaked too early, like. Oh, uh, bought the red wine for breakfast. Wow.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I highly recommend it, but make sure you get plenty of sleep.
I avoided Jaeger this year, so that helped.
I've never really tried Jaeger now that I think about it.
I get really bad Jaeger blackouts. Like, I don't remember shit.
Don't remember good shit, I don't remember bad shit.
Any shit.
Just gone, totally gone.
I had people sending me pictures this year of shit that happened last year, and I don't remember it happening.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's always been the same. Like, no alcohol gives me, like, any memory issues except for Jaeger. It's like someone just hits the off switch on memory. And I don't remember anything until I sober up.
Oh, that's amazing. It's when you get the flashbacks, though. Oh.
No, not zero. Nothing.
No,
no memory.
Complete blackout.
Complete.
Oh wow, I've done it once. I've blacked out once, but I woke up in my bed, so I take that as a win. Like, yeah.
No, there are whole nights where I've been out, and the second I start having a Jaeger, I don't remember anything from that point onwards until I either sober up or I wake up.
Hey, if you can't remember it, you've obviously had a good night.
Except for one time I got in a fight and I got punched, and I started remembering from that point onwards. I don't remember anything up to the fight. I just remember getting hit and on like everything afterwards.
Adrenaline sobers you up.
That's it.
Oh, you gotta love adrenaline. Like, that's I never see the way I used to deal with adrenaline is, say I got wound up with somebody at work, right, and I wanted to confront them. I'd have to psych myself up for a few days before I said anything, because I didn't like confrontation. I'd go out my way to avoid it, and then.
Doesn't sound like you.
Well, believe it or not. So this guy had a go at me. I confronted him, and as soon as I started speaking to him, my adrenaline kicked in. Oh, that was a mistake. Like, I just started shouting at him, swearing at him, everything. I was trying to go up and have a rational conversation. No happening. Oh, and then once I was finished, I started bubbling like a little girl, because my adrenaline, I didn't know how to channel it, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, but I'm better now. I mean, I do taekwondo now and that, and I've, sparred a good few times. So when I get a punch in the face, your adrenaline starts going. The downer from it isn't anywhere near as bad as what it used to be. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Obviously, more confident and all that good stuff. Aye. So that's what I'll take for that. How many times have you been to PreachCon?
Everyone.
What's
Like,
that,
is it
three?
3? Yeah.
Ah. Yeah, I wanted to go to that first one, but I think it was jobless at the time, actually. Yeah.
Oh, you missed the first Vanish pub crawl.
I wouldn't have made that. With the state I was there in my first year, oh my god. Wow. If I'd done that the year before, I wouldn't have made a pub crawl. Like, I'd have been in a gutter somewhere.
11 o'clock in the morning, we took everyone into Manchester, and I took them to like the most English places you could go. Like, you know, the pubs that have tiles on the outside,
Oh,
and they always have like a local at the bar. And there's always people that, you know, they can't even speak to each other, let alone random
Aye.
people.
Aye.
Right, you're going to come visit a local.
That's brilliant. That's what you want. You want to see new things like that, eh? You just meet new people.
Especially when you're going into a place that you'd probably never go to if you
Yeah.
were on your own.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, not many people would walk into a proper old English pub
No.
full of like pissed up old locals at 11 in the morning.
Yeah, they just want to go in and maybe have a beer or chill out, and everybody just piles in.
Yeah.
But I actually behaved myself 2017. I was actually pretty well behaved up until, when did the evening thing start? Was it 4 o'clock? Aye, because we had to sign in and everything, didn't we? So
Yeah.
you had the morning thing.
It was a bit later because it was like they had the all day thing, didn't they?
Aye, the game.
With like the yeah.
Well, I think it was 3. And all day I'd been choking for a drink. I'm like, I need to drink. There's loads of people here. I want to get pushed. And it got to 3 o'clock and I'm like, fuck it. Picture, let's go. Oh, I got hammered. And there's people coming up to me this year and go, hi, Haga, I met you last year. Like, did you? Who are you? I can't remember you. Just blackout, well, not blackout drunk, but drunk enough not to remember people.
It's kind of worse for me because there's people I've met 3 years in a row and I still don't know their names. I'll
epic,
recognize them.
Oh,
I'm like, hey, you. And they'll be like, hey, Vanish. I'm like, hey, you.
Hey, you. I know you. No, I don't.
I recognize the face.
Aye.
No, I don't know who you are.
There's a lot of people, though, to remember, you know. I think I made an effort to speak to as many people as I could, and I'll know you if I see your face, but that's it, like, you know, and people sometimes get a wee bit upset about that. I mean, Bambi's been in our, you know, the PreachCon chat and WhatsApp from 2017. There's a group that was left in that, and a bunch of us are still in it.
Wow.
And we called it the Swag Squad. So yeah, there's like 30 of us in this group just talking shite. It's good fun, like, and it's like a mini PreachCon chat, and we just hear banter and laughing at, and there's only been 2 people invited in from the outside without a. Well, obviously everybody agrees about it, you know, but it's a very closed group now, if you like. It's pretty cool.
You got a click going, have you?
It's pretty cool, like. So didn't leave the PreachCon 18. You know, it might turn into something good. You never know.
Oh, I don't stick around in the group chats.
Right,
I tend
okay.
to leave them.
Oh, fair enough. Aye. When was the first time?
Got to be incognito as a Vanish, you know. You've got to show up at the right time. You can't be there all the time.
You do keep a low profile, I notice.
Yeah.
You're not like me.
Well,
I'm loud and I let everyone know I'm there.
See, I don't actually drink. Like, this can sound daft, but I drink maybe 3 times a year.
Oh, wow. That's easy to get pushed in.
Yeah, but I handle it quite well, if that makes any sense. Like,
all right. Aye.
I know how to drink. Like, I used to drink a lot, so I know how to drink, but I don't drink at home.
Right. Okay.
And I don't really go out very often to get drunk.
Oh, I didn't go out. I just get pushed in the house.
But if I'm like at something like PreachCon,
aye,
you know, and get fucked up.
Oh yeah, you got to make an effort, like.
And it's kind of expected as well, because like the first year I had such a good go at it because we had the pub crawl and everything. Everyone was like, "Yeah, I managed to get fucked up." And people start buying me shit, and it's like, "Oh no!"
Dude,
And then a bit of ego kicks in, and then I'm like, "Right then,
bring
the
it
big
on,
drinkers
boys.
coming here now."
How? When was the first time you met Preaching Ghost?
What, like IRL or?
Aye, IRL.
Oh, the first StartCon. The first StartCon was in Manchester.
What is StartCon?
Well, Stark is obviously the community guild of Preach Gaming.
Oh, Stark Industries. Aye.
Yeah. The first guild meet we had. Well, it wasn't really the first. The first guild meet we had was like just a random piss up in Leeds. But there was 8 or 9 of us, and it was a good crack.
Sorry.
So like the Dutchies wanted to join us because they were all like raring about this piss up we'd had, and there's loads of people in the raid team, especially like left out. So we're like, oh, we'll do another one. We'll do it in Manchester because it's easy for you guys to fly in. You just get to an airport, fly to Manchester, easy peasy. And then Andy and Mike are like, yeah, fuck it, we'll join you for a piss up. And I think the first kid had just been born, James, Max.
Oh, Max.
James had he'd just been born. So Mike couldn't come out, but Andy came out and met us at lunch. Ended up getting pissed on his lunch break.
Was that before there was Preach Gaming?
No, this is like early days.
Right, okay.
Stark started off as Andy's bank. Right. So he had a character called Iron Man, his paladin, and he made a bank called Stark Industries. Real simple shit.
Yeah.
And then when Preach started doing his thing, everyone wanted to know, basically play in Preach's guild, but Preach didn't want a community guild. He didn't want to have the hassle of doing
it.
Yeah. So Andy's like, oh, I'll do it. And Preach just put a couple of vaults in there. And then it just kind of like, obviously exploded from there.
Aye.
And then Andy stopped playing early MOP. There was a bit of like a hot potato with the GM title. And it ended up on me. I mean, I've just been GM since, pretty much. I had a bit of a break. Halloween took over for a little bit.
Yeah. Huh. I've actually messaged Halloween, now that I think about it. I'm asking if he wants to do the podcast. I've not seen him. He's not been streaming. I've not seen him online.
Well, he's not really gaming at the minute. He's got a load of IRL stuff on, so.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll see how it goes. See if he gets back to me or that. But it'd be good to speak to him. Aye. See when I turned up to PeachCon. Were you sat there when I turned up the night before?
I don't know. Okay. Maybe not. I don't know.
Walks into the hotel. Mike sat there on the couch. Hi, girl, there's a beer. And the bar's shut at this point, and he just hands me a beer. Yes, that's a win.
You arrived quite late, did you?
11 o'clock. No, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah, I'd already been drinking for more than 12 hours at that point.
Whoa, that's a good effort, like.
Yeah, I
can usually push out about 7 or 8 hours drinking, and then I'm on the downhill slope. Like,
started at 10:30, didn't stop while gone midnight.
Fucking hell. It's a good effort, like.
I told you, like, I don't drink often, but
yeah.
I do drink hard.
What a... There was a lot of people there suffered from social anxiety, weren't there?
Always is. It's generally why I get the job of looking after people.
By the way, I never thought about that. Having somebody you can look to, right, he knows what we're doing, he's going to... It's good, we can relax, he's in charge, it's fine. Having that comfort of somebody being there I would imagine would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, it's I don't want to say I'm socially aggressive because that sounds weird, but if I see somebody who looks like they're hanging on the outside edge, I go up and drag them into the middle. It's like, you don't want to be over there, you want to be over here, mate.
You get them
like,
involved.
Over here with everyone else. Yeah.
Let them know it's fine.
Yeah, basically. It's like in year 1, for example, right? I got like fucked up. I was pissed, no shadow of doubt. I hadn't eaten all day. I just drank all day. I had people challenging me to drinking contests all day.
As you do.
But I made this point of going around and talking to everybody, dragging everyone in, keeping everyone happy. And there was a point where Mike and Andy were like, John, like, calm the fuck down. You're too fucked. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm so sorry. And afterwards, I went up to Mike and I was like, look, I'm really sorry. He's like, do you know what? Don't fucking worry about it. Because all we've had is people saying that they were like worried about being in a group of random people. But everyone says that you've just like fucking made them feel welcome. So,
Aye.
You can be like that every year if you want. I'm like, okay.
That's amazing. That's what you want, eh? And that sort of adds me into my next sort of subject, the Edinburgh Fringe. The Edinburgh Fringe is a massive festival in Edinburgh, and it goes on for a month and a half, whatever it is, and it's basically like everywhere gets filled, pubs, nightclubs, places with stages, the streets, everything is packed with people for this entire month, and there's entertainment, there's people escaping from fucking chains and straight jackets, there's comedians and bars and all that, and 2 years in the trot I've went with my boy, and it's been really entertaining. We go all day, we left at 11 and got back at like 5 in the afternoon, and it's been really good. It's been really entertaining. We walked towards the Scottish National History Museum and then back to the train station again, and that takes about 5 hours. It's good. It's definitely worth consider going. So yeah, I believe it's in June, July, something like that.
Yeah, I've never actually been to Edinburgh.
Have you not?
No, I've not really been to many places in Scotland, to be honest.
All right, okay. I'm saying that. I've been to London. Yeah, I'm taking that. I've been to London. I've been there a couple of times. But that's pretty good.
I think Stranraer is probably the only place I've been to the most.
Huh, okay.
Get the ferry to Ireland.
Ireland. It's mine. Oh, that was a good laugh speaking with Paul, by the way. And Sandman Slim.
Yeah, I love Paul.
Oh, he's a boy in his cell. He's amazing. Aye. See, the fucking Yanks are corrupt as fuck, like, I'm telling you.
Well, the entire country is basically founded by people who are going out the way to make as much money as possible. It's completely run by corrupt, bloody capitalists.
The entire foundation of it is fucked.
Yeah. I want to do this. Oh, you're stopping me. All right, I'll give you a couple of quid. All right, okay, fine, you can do it then. It's all underhand, dodgy deals.
Yeah. It's fucking... You see what they're doing with NASA? You know how SpaceX got the reusable rocket?
Yeah.
Well, NASA won't do it because they get support to do what they do from...
It's just basically another way of wasting money.
I'm not sure if they give some of the senators money.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah,
sorry,
they all get kickback.
The senators give them money to support them, but they can't invest in new stuff because they haven't got enough money. In order to get more money, they need different sponsors, but they can't go against the senator because they'll not give them the permission to do what they're doing. Or
exactly.
Something like that. It's weird as fuck, like.
Well, if you go back to UFC, for example, the reason they can't or they couldn't have UFC in New York is because the people who ran UFC owned a load of the casinos in Vegas. And in their casinos, they said they didn't want any What's those things called? Group of employees where they
Strippers?
no. I can't remember the name of it. When you're in a company and all the employees group together and they have a basic like a union, yeah, that's it. They had the Fertitta brothers who owned Mandalay Bay and shit like that. They basically said we're not having an employee union. We'll pay you fairly, and if you're happy with that and happy with having no union, you'll get paid accordingly. So all the employees like fuck yeah, but the former mafia criminal organizations who set up all the workers unions in Vegas are pissed off because they don't get their cut because unions get paid.
Aye.
So the employees, so say for example you work for me and you were in a union, you'd get paid your 10 quid now, but 2 quid of that would go to your union to look after you in case I screwed you over.
Yeah.
Where in Mandalay Bay, if you work for Mandalay Bay, they don't get that. You keep your 2 quid. But if you get screwed over, kind of tough luck, but you got paid for it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now these guys, these former mafia guys, they're all part of the New York mob. So they paid off the New York senators to deny UFC the right to fight in the New York state. Well, it's actually New York, it's Manhattan that they denied fighting in. And it was all because of these lobbyists who wanted to have the unions in the casinos, and they weren't allowed. So because they weren't allowed the unions in the casinos in Vegas, they did what they could to stop the fights happening in New York.
Oh my god!
And that's how corrupt it is. The entire system is fucked.
Fuck's sake, man! That's unreal. Like,
and that's just UFC. Other organizations could have fights there if they wanted to, but UFC couldn't. UFC had to fight outside of Manhattan. That's why they always have the fights in Jersey.
Fucking hell, man! That's unbelievable.
And that's the way the country's running. And the reason why there's so many fucking lunatics at the minute is because there's no healthcare for mentally ill people over there. There is none. Like, the mentally ill are just on the street. And these are the people that aren't getting help, that go around killing people and doing stupid shit.
Fucking hell.
Because I honestly, I loved America. And I was like, I want to move there. I was like, when I've got money together and shit, I'll go out there because it's an amazing, nice place.
Aye.
Like, I love California to bits. It's just the sky there is just like a different shade of blue. It's just nice.
A nice blue.
And yeah, but even when it's cold, it's warm. Like, it's not bitter cold. It just gets chill, you know.
Yeah.
But you go to Venice Beach, and last time I went was at BlizzCon 2016, and we went to Venice Beach on the last night.
Aye.
Yeah, last night. We went there for the day, and then ended up staying there most of the afternoon and the early evening. And the entire, if you kind of stood walking down Venice Beach, you got the sea to your left, you got all the bars and shit to your right. On the right hand side, you've got people outside the bar drinking a beer, chilling in the sun, having a good time. To the left, there's tents all the way along with crazy homeless people telling you Snapchat's taking over the world. And like, Snapchat's corrupt and shit. And, they're evil and the devil sent them. And there's like, random dude, sat there talking about how his penis talks to him and shit.
What the fuck?
And literally less than 3 meters away is people at a bar having a beer. And it's like, this place is fucked.
That was nuts,
like there is, like, there's, put it this way, there's so much spare land in the US, they could build an entire city, put all the homeless people in it, build a hospital, look after all the homeless people and ill people, and they would disappear off the streets, and you'd never see them again. And they'd live happily in their own, town, but the government won't spend the money on it, because in America, you make your own money or you get nothing.
Oh, aye.
And then let's not get started on the religious side of things, where fucking half them don't know what fucking Australia is, but they all believe in God.
That's fucking mad, like.
Well, at this point, they're basically white Arabs. They're basically white Muslims at this point. Because the Muslims are the same. Doesn't matter how shit or run down our country is, but Allah will be there. The same in America. Doesn't matter how shit the country is. Jesus would be there. Oh, someone shot all these kids at school. Oh, let's pray. Not fix the problem. Let's pray.
Yeah, they've not got an idea how to fix it. They don't want to do gun control, so fuck it. God will fix it.
1 second. Dog's gone nuts.
Oh. Guns, eh? Absolutely mad. What were you talking about the other day? Oh, TV program to watch, guys, is where is it? Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, sorry about
that. Aye, mate. You ever heard of a film called Fear the 13?
I don't know.
Joe Rogan recently had a guy in his podcast. He was on death row for 22 years for a crime.
That guy. Yeah.
Nick Yaris.
I couldn't watch that guy. He didn't feel real. He felt something was a bit off for me.
Aye. Well.
Yeah, the way he was talking about it, it felt like he was adding to the story a little bit. Felt like he was exaggerating.
A boy at work, he had a similar sort of view to what you did there. He says it didn't quite feel. I mean, he spent a lot of time thinking about what he was going to say and all that. But my counter to that, I like playing devil's advocate with everything. I'll argue the other side no matter what it is, even if I don't agree with it. I just like to have a discussion about it. And my point was, you imagine you've been in a cell, beaten up to fight someday or something like that. How traumatic is that to remember and to put into words?
No, I completely agree. And that's exactly why I felt it was fake, because he seemed like he was reading it from a script more than he was actually remembering it.
Right. Well, maybe.
It felt like he was trying to remember the script more than he was actually remembering the ordeal. And, he's there at the end of the day to sell his book and sell the movie.
Yeah.
And that shit only sells if there's interesting stuff to talk about.
You might be right.
Because if you watch, let's talk more about the US for a second. Their justice system is complete shit.
Oh, that's completely
it's beyond shit. I mean, if you want to watch a decent documentary, watch the Khalif Browder one. He spent 3.5 years in prison, 2 of it in solitary confinement at the age of 17, because somebody said that he committed a crime which he didn't commit. And basically they kept bouncing him in. What's the best way to put it? If you can't pay bail, you go to county jail. And he basically spent 3.5 years in county jail because they kept postponing his court hearing.
Oh, wow.
So he wasn't even meant to be there. He didn't do anything wrong, but they wouldn't let him out because he couldn't pay bail. Now, California have just scrapped that rule. So, now it's like England. You basically let out and then you summoned back at the right whenever they need you.
Aye. That way they're not clogging it up as much.
Well, yeah, like the prison system, again, it's down to capitalism. The prison system in the US is one of the highest earning businesses in the US.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. Joe Rogan, I think it was him and Joey that were talking about it. They were saying
probably.
You've got a business to incarcerate people. So how are you going to make more money in that? Reduce the conditions, increase capacity. So the more people you cram in that prison, the more money you're going to make. So how else are you going to make money? Right, give them crappy food, give them less books. Don't turn the heating on, and everything tallies up to a shit living condition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and because of the way the bail system works, they get more and more people in there, and then once you're in there, you're going to get attacked, and when you get attacked, you get accused of fighting, which adds more time to your sentence.
Yeah.
So there's people who went to prison in the US innocent, end up getting in a fight, accidentally killing somebody or killing somebody in self-defense, and then getting sentenced to prison terms for crimes they committed in prison. where they were forced to be because the system made it that way.
Oh wow. See, I'll give you a good example of a good system, right? Norway. Their reoffenders rate compared to the US, I think the US is, was it like 95% of people that have been in prison will go back in. In Norway, it's like 5% or maybe less because they rehabilitate the prisoners. One of the guys hacked his own smart TV and got access to the internet. The
Right.
prison was considering telling the police because then obviously he gets in trouble and he gets a fine or whatever, or he extended his time or whatever. But they weren't going. They didn't go. We're telling them. They said, "Oh, we need to review this and see what we think." And that's totally different to what would happen in the States. You hack into a TV. Oh, that's it. You're getting an extra 2 years.
You wouldn't even get a TV
No, probably
because
not.
they're fighting solitary confinement at the minute. Because solitary confinement just fucks people up
Aye,
and make it worse.
it does. And they're looking at people with drug addictions and things like that. The one of the things that does help is social circles. So even if you were in prison for, I don't know, drug dealing or whatever, and you're addicted to cocaine or whatnot, you'll probably still be addicted when you're in there. But when you come back out, if you've got the right support system, the right people to help you, it's going to help you stay off it. You know what I mean? It's not just about
the pharmaceutical companies are another problem in America because they're able to get you're able to get things like Vicodin and stuff very easily, and people become addicted to opioids incredibly easily. You wouldn't get that shit in the UK, even if it's like
have you seen what they've
you'd
done
have to
with
be
that?
really ill to get it.
The company making the opioids, so everybody's got an opioid addiction and it's fucking everything. What they're doing is they've changed it, or the company that was selling them has now come up with a cure drug for it.
Yeah.
So they're selling that.
Yeah.
How fucked up is that?
Well, there's certain things like I can't remember there's a drug. I think it's I don't want to say diabetes. It might be asthma. No, it's not asthma. There's a condition that's fairly common, right? The drug company bought the medicine to it. They bought the rights to the medicine so nobody else could make it, and then they massively increased the price. So the drug's only like worth $1, but because they now have like unlimited control of the drug, they basically limit people's access and put the price up to like $100 a pill instead of $1 a pill.
That is mad.
And there's a whole thing at the minute where one of the guys has been kind of done for it, but there's loads of these companies where they use loopholes and shit just kind of get around it. But that's the country. That is their country, right? But it's like I remember when Emma was ill, Mike's wife was ill. She was, I think, maybe when she was with Max, she got really, really ill, and Mike was saying that the antibiotics they give her, they're like, we need to be careful giving these antibiotics because they're $2.5 a pill.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so she was on like $5 worth of pills a day. That's how ill she was. Like she needed these super high powered, super rare antibiotics. But in America, that'd have been $100,000.
I can imagine. That'd be outrageous.
Because Mike was saying it's like, thank God for the NHS because we can afford £2.5 a pill.
But hey, even they grudge paying stuff like that. They'll not give you that unless you really, really need it.
Which is kind of,
Oh, that would probably work. We'll just give them that. Nah, they need to look at it what it is.
Yeah, she was at the point where she required something that harsh. Because even the nurse is like, fuck, we don't even see this. Like,
yeah, it's rare, yeah. It just shows you the entire world's fucked.
No, just America.
Just America.
Right.
They not so much. I wouldn't blame the people. I'd blame the system that's in place.
No, the people are sheep at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be fair, they're the flock to the shepherds, aren't they? They're the people that go to church. I mean, look at the evangelists and how they fucking scam money out of people.
Who?
The evangelists, like the religious leaders. like the pedo rings and shit. Right, so let's talk about religion for a second in the US. So in the US, you've got. Have you ever seen the Religious Network?
Oh, sorry, I've seen
Jesus TV.
It's like healing stuff. And
Yeah, shit like that. These super charismatic guys who like stand there and Jesus is coming, and they get everyone riled up. And they basically they set it up so it looks like they've cured people.
Aye.
And then they go town to town, and all these people donate all their money to them.
You will be healed.
Yeah. There's it might have been on Rogan's podcast. He had a guy on who was like a psychic, like a magician, a psychic kind of guy, but he went around and busted others. That's basically what he did.
All right.
And they went to this evangelist thing, and basically what they'd have. What they'd do is they'd get somebody who kind of like hobbled in, right? So this old, say an old woman hobbled in.
Yeah.
The pastor's wife would go up and be like, "Oh, who are you? What's wrong? What do you need a seat?" Put her in a wheelchair, right? Obviously, she walks in, hobbles in. Maybe didn't walk too well, but they put her in a wheelchair and then sit her at the front. And then what she'll do is she'll tell him through like a microphone. You'll have like an earpiece in. Like, the woman at the front is like Doris. She's got like, mild walking thing. And they're like, Doris, I understand that, is it, he'll ask her if it's her wheelchair. And she's like, yeah, because that's where she sat, right? And then he'll get her to stand up and get her to walk, and but he'll sell it in such a manner as if he just made her walk for the first time. Right. And people fucking laugh it up,
Yeah.
And there's like snake cults and shit. The US is fucked, man. It's a crazy fucking place. Yeah. Rattlesnakes in Texas, and this guy handles these rattlesnakes and shit because he died the other year because he actually got bit. He's picking up all these rattlesnakes because Jesus makes it so that these deadly creatures can't harm him, and he'll like cut the heads off the rattlesnakes because they're the devil's like pets and shit. But what they did is they defanged them, but he got one that wasn't defanged, and this fucker bit him and killed him.
Oh, for fuck's sake. It seems like... who could be that fucking stupid, honestly?
Yeah. But it's, again, back to like a religious thing. The Catholic Church in the US is where most of the heavy pedo rings are. It's mostly a US thing. It happens a little bit in the UK with the church, but most of it's the Catholic Church, and most of it's in the US because the church is heavily funded by the state. Like you can't be president if you don't believe in God. If you're not religious, you cannot be president of the United States.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so I don't think Donald Trump's religious, but he's like, yeah, I believe in God. God save America.
Aye, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But if you're an atheist, you cannot be president of the United States because the church won't endorse you.
Oh, that'd be a big voting part, wouldn't it? They want the support because then that keeps them in the right. Oh, we endorsed you, you took it, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked. But what do you expect? We kind of sent all our religious nut jobs over there because the UK kind of gave up religion a long time ago.
My dad made a point that priests over in the UK were getting fucked with being pedos, and what the church was doing was they're sending them to the States. And then nothing else was happening.
Well, it wasn't really just that. It was your religious... what's the word? I'm failing at words today for some reason. Like the crazy ones that are like the ones going around saying that you'll be burned if you don't believe in Jesus and all that kind of stuff.
Aye.
The extremists, right? We'll use them all until the extremists. So when Henry VIII, for example, wanted a divorce and the Catholic Church said no, he's like, fuck you, and made his own church. So that's how Church of England became about.
Yeah.
He wanted a divorce, so he made his own church, which is where C of E came from. And that's, for me, if you look at history, that's one of the big turning points where everyone's like, religion is a bit of a joke if you can just make up your own church.
Yeah.
But then you still had these extremist preachers. So it's like, right, if you want to be an extremist preacher, there's a fucking country over there full of people who don't believe in God at all. They believe in fucking getting high on peyote and fucking spirits and shit. And these people are like, fuck it, we're going to go, all the... they did it in Indonesia as well. all the New Guinea islands and stuff like that. And they did the same with Africa. They sent off the missionaries. That's the word. They sent off the bloody missionaries and to convert them to Christianity. And it was just like you're fucking doing a nutting with your stupid shit. Go deal with these people instead. Go talk to these people. Hopefully they'll kill you.
Aye.
But then they all ended up there. So you got all these people who are fucking living a hard life now because crazy bad shit's going off, and it's not easy colonizing a new land, especially when you've got Native Americans running in and chopping fucking scalps off. You've got English and French tension, as always, at a high. So there's constant fights between them. You've got the tax issues that was currently faced in the UK at the time because they were in a war with France. So the Brits are taxing the crap out of you. Oh, what? Just remembered something. If I remember right, the Brits let the colonies go tax-free while they dealt with something. I think when they dealt with the Native Americans, and then they're like, right, we need our tax money back now because we've got a fight with the French.
Right.
And the colonies are like, oh, no, we don't want to pay that now. So that's why the Brits went after the US. They're like, right, no, you're paying the fucking tax. Because, we need that money back.
Aye. You need to pay your tax.
Yeah, and that's what led to the Civil War. Not the Civil War, the War of Independence.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we'd shipped all our missionaries over there to deal with the Native Americans. So they just kind of basically saturated the place with religious heretics. And that's one of the reasons why the US is so heavily religious bound, is because these people, like all the crazy religious people, were all sent there. And it's why Australia's got one of the lowest religious places out of like the first world countries.
Yeah.
Because they didn't send the missionaries there. We just sent the criminals there. And the criminals like, fucking, yeah, it's our party.
By the way, I spoke to Siren at PreachCon. I was like, when was the last time you seen an Aborigine? She goes, you know what we've done with Aborigines? I'm like, what? Basically the same thing the Americans done, or the British done to the Americans. The British done to the Indians in the States. They went over and massacred them.
Yeah, they got massacred. Same, well, do you know there's like there's you know what the Indian reservations are, right?
In the States?
Yeah.
No.
So there's like parts of Ohio and Idaho, basically parts of the prairies and the plains, which are designated Indian land, and they have their own rules, and the U.S. law doesn't apply in those areas. Wow. And it's basically run by the Native Americans, and it's like their own country within the country. They have their own police force and everything.
That's amazing.
And it's like the last kind of like segregated part of the US is these native lands. And the Australians have the same for the Aborigines. The Aborigines have their own land where basically you can go there if you want to, but you can't just go there and build a house because it's Aboriginal land.
Aye, you've got to go there and respect their way of life, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's the same in America. They have, I can't remember what the name is. Tribal lands. It's why in some states where there's there's gambling rules, you can still go gamble because the Indian reservations don't have gambling rules, so they have their own Indian casinos.
Ah, right.
Because it's their land, they can do what the fuck they like. So, Idaho, for example, might have a no gambling law, but the Indian reservation within that will be like, haha, we don't have a gambling law, fuck you, we'll build a casino and everyone can come to our casino and spend the money here.
You know why there's such a fucking stink up about gambling? Is because the tax. People can earn a fuckload of money and pay no tax on it. That's the problem. But they don't really realise that people that are spending this money have usually earned it through a job, in which case they've already paid tax on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's just governments trying to take more money, but they can't claim that from the Indian reservations. They're not allowed.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, it's fucking mad. Yeah.
But it's like the shit that was done to those Native Americans was like harsh as fuck. But
aye.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
I was watching something, and they were talking about the water buffalo. The Indians would that was their main source of meat, the clothing, fucking they'd use pretty much every single part of the water buffalo. So
Yeah.
the government was paying people like what was it like $25 or something for one of them. So people were killing them, going out in trains and loading up trains of water buffaloes.
Yeah, just fucking hunting them down.
Aye, just massacring them, and that's how they wanted to try and beat the Indians. It's like fucking hell, that is harsh. Like, just got a vendetta against a species. It's like fucking hell. How do you think about what the humans have done through the ages? We're assholes, like.
Yeah, completely.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's why at the minute with all the social justice shit, it's just a load of nonsense. It's
oh.
like it almost need another world war just to remind people what's important, you know?
Aye.
Because a lot of people complaining about stupid shit that's not important.
You're in my personal space. Fuck off.
It's like I seen one today. It's like, you know, I'm all for equality, right? But it's like this girl posted a thing, and it was like a statue of a woman holding a man's head, and it was like, "You're lucky we just want equality and don't fight back." It's like,
what the fuck?
It's like, what are you gonna do? I'm not being funny, but it's like, if it ever got to that point where women went to war with men, you'd be wiped out. Like you wouldn't be wiped out. You'd be locked up back in cages, and you'd be all the way back at the beginning again. Because you're strong. You know, it's just daft. Yeah, it's like feminism. Feminism's another weird one. Most women aren't feminist, but the feminist extremists are like insane. The stuff they ask for and the stuff they say, the things that they think they can get away with is just ridiculous.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, I'll give you an example, right? There was a gym up that's like a 2 minute walk from my house. It's just a little. There's probably a treadmill, maybe a couple of rowing machines, maybe a few weight benches. It's tiny. And it started off as a women's gym. That lasted about 2 months, and then it became a unisex gym. Now, I don't give a fuck if there's a women's gym, but I bet they'd give a fuck if it was a man's gym.
Oh yeah, completely. But I mean, like, I understand why there would be a women's gym, right? Because they want somewhere they can go and not be basically perved upon.
Nah, see, this is where the equality thing comes in, I think, because women are the exact fucking same as men. They can perv as well. If I'm
and they do.
They can perv with me. There's no fucking excuse to have a women's gym. I don't think so.
But it's like there's one in my town, and it's been there as long as I can remember, since the early '90s.
Yeah,
it's been a women's only gym, and it's always been there. But I think the one thing that kind of skips a lot of them is the fact that we don't go complaining about it.
No, guys
we don't give a shit. If you want to go have a women's only gym, you go have a women's only gym. But if we want a men's only bar, then we can have a fucking men's only bar, right?
Well, that's where it used to come in.
Yeah, that's kind of where it started from.
I used to work with a guy. I'm going to say he was in his late 60s. He was old school, like, and he was telling me about the bars and outside his hometown before, that they would only have one toilet, a men's toilet. So women would come in, and there'd be like three of them stood outside protesting. One would pluck up the courage and come in. Can I have a beer? No, you can't have a beer because there's only one toilet. And that was the argument in a lot of places.
Yeah, but a lot of this, again, a lot of this current social pandering comes from the fact that in the US there is no, like, it's like this whole fucking this like gender thing where people are saying that, you know, oh, I identify as a cat or whatever. You know, those people are not well, right?
No, they need help, like.
And they live in the country because they're generally always American. I mean, there's a few that aren't, but they're generally always American. and it's because there's no like proper care for them out there. You know, and there's a lot of these people that are doing weird shit
They can't get
themselves.
them mental health care because they can't afford that, and aye, that comes back to their fucking healthcare system, that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you know, it's let's not get too deep into that because we'll be here fucking weeks. But,
That'd be a hell of a podcast. Fucking hell.
yeah. Yeah, you'd end up like, oh, it's just there's just so much wrong with everything,
Oh,
and they pretty much all all the issues right now. You pretty much all stem back to the US,
oh, aye, definitely.
which is a sad thing, you know.
But,
The current state of media, for example, that's the US.
Oh, that is horrendous. But
And if you want to go watch what you call it, if you go watch what's Ron Burgundy called? That movie with Ron Burgundy. I can't remember what it's called.
Just type in Ron Burgundy.
You know Ron Burgundy, Anchorman.
Anchorman.
You've seen Anchorman, yeah. So in the second Anchorman movie, he's shit. He's about to lose his job, and what he does is he basically narrates a car chase. Now, if you watch US news, that actually happens, right? And oh look, the ratings have spiked because he's just fucking done a narration of a car chase.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And then that's when it started becoming about fucking ratings and shit, and news start becoming less important and more about what kind of fucking crazy story can we make up today.
Oh, have you seen the film Nightcrawler?
Sounds familiar.
It's a bit.
Yeah, I have.
Aye, right. That's.
It's the one where he sets up accidents and shit and films it, right?
Aye, it's basically what you described there, except he's making it happen. Everything's going to happen anyway, but he just forces it into place, and it just makes you wonder. That probably happens, like, you know, oh, these cunts hate each other, let's get them together. Oh, they're going to start shooting. Oh no, hey, caught it on camera. Give me a couple of grand.
But yeah, like things like social media don't help any of this.
No.
There's too many sheep are allowed on the internet.
I've basically come off the computer. I've stopped gaming this month, and I'm just using it to organise podcasts and things like that, get information. But I'm not actually using social media for anything else.
Yeah. I don't actually have Twitter. I have to log into Twitter on my browser to get your messages. I only actually use Twitter for streaming. I just go on there, post that I'm streaming, then log back off. I don't even look at notifications or shit. I don't have the app on my phone. I wouldn't have Facebook, but I need it for work.
Right. Okay.
Because it's too powerful a tool for advertising to not have it.
Oh, I hear you there. I never thought about
that. And I have Instagram. Again, I don't use it properly. I actually have an app which I pay £5 a month that does all my Instagram for me. So I have an app to run my app.
That's brilliant.
Because my Instagram's got like 7,500 followers, something like that. I just put a post on once every week or so. Sometimes I forget to do it. If I'm on the ball, I'll do it every couple of days.
It's the way to do it, like.
But the app basically does all the hard work. I put in all the like hashtags that I want people to, all the hashtags that I use, basically.
If somebody searches a hashtag,
and it will search all those hashtags and it'll like people's posts who like those hashtags. And then it'll like follow them and stuff. And if they don't follow back, then it'll unfollow them.
Oh, right, okay.
And it keeps bouncing around like that. And it just brings in quite a lot of views from it.
That's a good idea, because there's a few times I've had, I think it was like Stream Elements or something on Twitter following me, and it's got like X amount of thousand followers, and then I'll have a look at it. I'll look at the page, see what it is. Basically the same thing with what you're doing. Your thingy will like them. Who's that? Go have a look. Oh, look at this cunt, he's selling this stuff. So it's a good way to do it, like.
But yeah, like, just Facebook is just an AIDS place.
Oh, I like Facebook. I use it for Taekwondo, and we've got a work group chat for Messenger, and that's it.
Like 15, 20 years ago, when mobile phones couldn't go on the internet. It was a fantastic place.
Oh, it was great.
But it's like...
it was only PC users that had it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so it was very limited. It was very focused, I want to say.
Yeah.
Back in the MySpace days and shit like that. But well, give you an idea, right? So I just went and fucking added loads of friends. Like, just all these people. If I had friends in common with them and they were local and I thought they might be interested in vintagey type stuff, I just added them. So I ended up adding like hundreds of fucking people. And it just came up with suggested, oh, you've got all these friends in common, so it just keeps accepting all these suggestions. And then one of these girls started like ranting. I think it's disgraceful that people get their children baptized.
What the fuck?
And I'm like, I mean, religion should be a choice. You shouldn't be forcing it upon them at a young age. And I'm like, is that a joke? Because being baptized literally means nothing. You get baptized at 1 year old, they put a bit of water in your head.
Yeah.
There is no lasting effect. There is no scar from it. It doesn't mean shit. If at 15 you decide you don't want to be religious, it doesn't fucking matter if you're baptized. You would never remember if you weren't told that you're baptized.
Yeah.
If you had a genuine issue with shit like that from religion, you'd be complaining about circumcision. But because it doesn't really affect women in the UK, you don't care about it.
Aye. Well,
and she's like, oh, well, that's different. It's like, no, it's not different. What you're bitching about isn't important. If you actually wanted to bitch about something important, you'd be bitching about fucking kids getting mutilated, not getting a bit of fucking water put on their head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I need to leave the internet. Like, I need to leave fucking Facebook and the internet. If it wasn't for the fact, if I could have my work profile on Facebook without being on Facebook, I would.
Yeah.
Although the marketplace is handy.
I like that.
The marketplace is super handy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You get some bargains off that.
That's the way to do it. Like, it's people giving away free stuff as well, just wanting rid of stuff. I'll come round. Yeah. I'll get it.
like I've just seen here, someone's selling a, what do you call it? A 1978 mini shell. Just a solid shell for a mini. Oh, no lights, no engine, nothing. 200 quid.
Huh.
It's like, ooh. there's not enough parts there for me because I'm restoring a car that I actually no fucking clue what I'm doing. I'm just kind of guessing. Taking a sander to it and spraying it.
YouTube it, man. That tells you everything.
Basically all that I've been doing, to be honest.
That's the way to do it, man.
One of those YouTube handyman.
I do that all the time. See if I've got a problem. Like, I've been fixing computers since I was, I'm going to say 8. Because my dad got a computer. Was I 8? So it's 87. 95. Well, it was Windows 98, so it would have been 11-year-old. And I broke the computer. I don't know what the fuck I'd done, but I done something dodgy with it. And I started fucking about with it. Started tinkering with all the software inside it. And I fixed it. I don't even know what I've done, but I fixed it. And then from that point on, I've basically been self-taught into fixing computers. I'm good with software. I could fix stuff if it goes wrong. Say the computer, like there's apps crashing this app, that app's running there, so that's crashing this one and it's conflicting with each other. I'll fix all that crap. But I'm not good with like hardware. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, like I can build a PC.
I could build a PC, but it's the fault finding part that I'm a bit. You know what's actually broken.
Yeah.
I hate that part. You got to strip it down. All right, is it that RAM stick? No, is it that one? No, the RAM's fine. Right, is it the hard drive? Is it the processor? Yeah. Is it the motherboard?
Oh. It's always the fucking motherboard.
Oh, I fried one. 120 quid down the drain.
Yeah, when I bought my first PC, not the one, my current one, but I built like an interim one. When I told you about I was streaming and my PC broke, I had a gaming laptop and that I hurt my back and I couldn't work, so I was like on the poor man stuff.
As you do.
So I kind of built a PC as cheap as possible. I think August gave me the money to buy a case back then. I think Dolores sent me some RAM. No, Dreed sent me the RAM. Dolores sent me. Well, Dolores sent me some RAM as well. Then
Right.
Dree sent me some better RAM. And I basically built this PC from scratch. And the first motherboard I put in, I fried because I put the connectors the wrong way around.
Oh,
So I literally boxed it back up, and I sent it back saying it wasn't working. I got it replaced.
Yeah. Well, I put a new power supply in my computer, and 2 weeks later, shit. What's wrong? Setting it back. It's not working. I had a
But
power.
yeah, that was my learning experience, that one. So I built my second one, which is my current one.
Yeah.
And I built my son's PC, and then I built my friend's PC.
It's easy to do. You know,
Yeah,
you bought your
it
first
is, yeah.
one, that's you're on the ball, and then you're away with it, and you're build, it's easy. But I just...
Well, I picked all the parts on Amazon. Said this is what you need to buy. She went okay, and just literally bought the parts list that I give her. I made a shopping list, and it was like, this is all the stuff you need to buy for your shopping list. She's like, okay, bought all the shopping list. 3 days later, she just brought it all around to me in boxes. Like, here you go. And an hour and a half later, she had a running PC.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I upgraded my computer. Motherboard, RAM, processor, graphics card, new hard drive and everything, SSD. And it took me 6 hours to get it completely up and running. But that was the first time doing it. It was custom built to begin with by... Got it done on a website, PC Specialist.
Yeah.
And they built it for me. And it was, once it's built, you just put everything back where it was, like in the new stuff, as you know. So, yeah, it wasn't too hard. But then after that, I built another computer after that. It was like an hour and a half. It's a piece of piss after that. It's just to install Windows, it takes ages. That's a fucking cunt, that.
Yeah, that's generally the longest point is installing the software.
Aye. Oh, aye. But it's good with Windows. I say 7 onwards is fine, because it finds all the drivers for you. You know, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to, like Windows XP. You literally had to and made sure you had the Ethernet adapter, the Ethernet driver. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have access to the internet. Oh.
Yeah, it's definitely far easier, especially if you can wire in, because it'll just do it all itself.
Aye, it's brilliant. But yeah, good fun. Come, we've had a good chat tonight.
Yeah, like what we finished the podcast, we actually had a podcast.
Aye. Well, that part there was 45 minutes.
We've been talking now for over an hour.
Aye, so it's
nearly 2 hours actually since.
Aye.
Oh, it's over 2 hours since we started. Yeah, so we had basically a longer chat after the podcast than we had during the podcast.
Well, I started recording when we were complaining about the prison system, and I'll just add this bit into the middle of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on about like I am a bit of a nerd when it comes to this kind of stuff. I mean, if we got talking about just the US in general, there are so many podcasts and documentaries on a lot of it that can go over just that highlight so many issues of it. And especially if you look at the law system as well, as things like law and order and stuff, they highlight a lot of issues with their laws.
See,
you know,
I didn't care
lawyers
about
just
fixing that.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is where people say I'm an anarchist because I might just needs fucking deleting and starting again. At that point,
yeah,
like there's no way you can just fix it because there's so many fucking people who'd be unhappy with the fix. You'd need to fucking remove the government completely and then start again.
Aye,
because there's just too many fingers and too many pies at this point.
It's a conflict of interest.
There's far too much. It's like looking at this like Brett Kavanaugh thing. I don't know if you've been watching it.
No.
Right. So the guy's running through like Supreme Court justice in the US, and Trump's nominated guy to be the head judge for the country.
All right. Okay.
So he has to go in front of the Senate and basically explain why he should be the judge, and you've got like the left and the right quizzing him on his opinion on stuff and X, Y, and Z. And then some woman's come forward saying that he raped her when they were in high school.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And instead of it being dealt with privately, because it's all in public already, they had a public discussion about it where she got grilled, had to give a statement in front of the Senate or like this committee of people from like the Republican and basically from all the different political groups. His political group was basically calling her a liar and saying that he didn't do it. And then they interviewed him, and then he started screaming and shouting this like, it's just a shit show. And it just kind of highlights you need to go like look into it because I can't really. It's too in depth for me to explain it all.
It sounds interesting though. I need to look into that.
It's it's a bit of a shit show.
Have you seen the disaster?
Like say, which one?
In Asia.
Oh, the one in Indonesia, the earthquake and tsunami.
Because of tsunami.
I've not actually seen it. No, I've not seen any of the footage. Right.
I didn't actually know what happened. It happened like, what, 3 or 4 days ago, 5 days ago? I didn't know about it. I don't watch the news. And the radio in my car is on the blink, so I don't hear anything. And I usually listen to the radio in the morning for the news. But
a volcano erupted, apparently.
Underwater or some shit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And kicked up a stink.
Followed by an earthquake.
Yeah. Which is...
Indonesia's tsunami, 1,350 dead so far.
Sounds about right. Like, it's outrageous.
Well, it's one of the reasons I like Japan so much, because we were speaking about this earlier and then we kind of just changed subject halfway through. When my son's 18, I want to go to Asia, but I want to spend a full 3 months in Japan. And because I love the whole culture. But one of the reasons is, if you remember the tsunami that happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah, with their nuclear power plants and that.
I know that was a separate thing. That was a meltdown afterwards. I think that might have been affected, something to do with it. But basically, a huge fucking earthquake went off or whatever in the middle of the Pacific, and it created a fucking tsunami. It just basically wiped out like half the fucking Japanese coastline. And within 6 months, they'd rebuilt it.
6 months?
They fucking instantly turned it around.
Holy shit, that's what I felt like.
But like just the way they go about stuff, it's just they do such a good job with it.
See, they do there was a guy, I don't know who he was, but I was telling you earlier about the quality system that I use to implement. What is it? There's always a constant triangle, right? And it's review, improve, and or something like that, and it just keeps going round in a circle or a wee triangle to get better and better and better. Every time you do something, right, how can I improve what I just did? Right, that's fine. Do it, implement it, try it again, do it again. Right, where can I improve on that I've just done? And it just keeps going and going and going. And this guy went to Japan and he managed to convince the government to implement this everywhere in the country. So their reaction forces, their military, their businesses, everything is all done on this. And that's probably part of why. Okay, this has happened. How do we fix it? Let's fix it. Because guaranteed, if they rebuild everything there, people are back in their houses, people start working again, people start making money and funnel it back into the government. Everyone's a winner.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great YouTube channel called Abroad in Japan. It's just an English a guy from England. He got a job as a teaching assistant, and it's a really cool thing. They have like a Japanese exchange teacher assistant type thing, where if you have a degree in anything, you just need a degree. You can go over to Japan for 4 years, get paid to be there, and you basically become a teaching assistant. So the Japanese school system for teaching English, they'll have the Japanese teacher there, but they'll have an English person alongside them, or somebody who speaks English, so whether they're Australian, American, or whatever, who basically assist in the understanding. So like when we learn to speak French in school, we learn it in such a rudimentary fucking linear way that it's not actually usable when you go to France.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not really applicable. So they have the English person there to kind of add context to what's been said. And when he moved over to Japan, he basically started basically vlogging it, for lack of a better word. And kind of just like, oh, today I'm in Sendai and I'm off doing this. And he finished his 4-year thing of that, and now he does YouTube full time in Japan. And he went to like the Aftermath place and kind of showed the before, the during, and where it is now, kind of thing, and speaks to like people have helped me build it, and he speaks to like the mayor of the town, and it's like, oh, this is what we've done, and this is how we've done it, and we've had local kids from the local university kind of come up with their plans on how to stop it from happening again, and we've implemented this, and this based on their plans, and it's just like, crazy stuff that they've done, but they've done it all within a year. Like, it's still getting rebuilt now. They're still putting infrastructure in place to kind of stop it from happening again. But the way they go about things, they don't fuck about.
Yeah.
They don't kind of spend all this time in red tape like you would in England, where it takes forever to build something. We're throwing it right back up. We're getting back on our feet. And the entire community works together, kind of thing.
That's part of that continuous improvement. We built this building in 6 months. Right? Why did it take 6 months? 3 months of that was talking about it.
Yeah.
So where can you improve? And that's that's what I was getting at. It's basically what you just said. That's how it works out there, and it's. I don't know that much about it. I've never been there. I've not looked at how they work. I'm just telling you from an outside point of view, for what I've heard. So
they're far more pragmatic. They're not hindered by a lot of the kind of issues we are.
What's it called? There's a word for it. Bureaucracy.
That's the word for it.
Word of the day: bureaucracy.
But it's like they've never been really hindered by things like religion, right? They've never had. They've had people run the country into the ground. They've had people make them do stupid shit.
Yeah.
They've had their own versions of like Hitler and shit, but they've never they've always kind of reevaluated.
Yeah.
And like like you say, they've reevaluated and they've attempted to improve.
Yeah. I think their economy's in a bit of a tartar now, though, isn't
it? The whole country's in a bit of a weird place at the minute. There's a whole thing at the minute where the population is actually on a decline. They're not having as many. It's not like the rest of the first world countries where they're just fucking breeding constantly.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I was watching a YouTube channel. Is it Kyrgyzstan? Whatever it's called. It's basically like a sciencey type YouTube channel, and they break stuff down to the basic elements. And I think they were saying about certain countries like China has got a problem. They've got too many. They're going to have too many old people because they stopped people allowing, was it more than 1 or 2 children or something like that. And it's going to have an adverse effect later on.
Well, they had to implement a breeding limit because they were basically exploding out the skin.
Aye. So, but Japan had the opposite way. I think they're more career focused, so they don't want to have kids. So what the government's doing is they're implementing systems to you'll get more money as a couple if you have a kid. I would imagine like a family allowance type gig.
Yeah.
But, that's what they're trying to do to incentivize people having kids.
Yeah, but what they're also doing is the Prime Minister is trying to get more women in the workplace, which is obviously having an adverse effect because now the women are like, no, I'm going to work instead. But it's interesting. They got some really cool shit going on. But that's the thing, they have all this cool shit going on.
Yes, I'd like. Now that speaking about it, I think I'd actually like to go. Now that I think about it,
yeah, there's so much shit to see. And the guy I was on about who did does the YouTube channel, he did a TED talk on it, and it's like people only know about Tokyo, but they don't know about the rest of the country.
Aye.
And pretty much everyone that goes there and blogs and stuff, it's all Tokyo based. Yeah, there's all these people that are all over the country, yet none of them make the YouTube channel.
Aye.
But if all these people are in these schools started vlogging what they're doing, they'd increase tourism outside of Tokyo massively. And it basically helped the rest of Japan by encouraging people to do it.
Aye.
Because obviously people only know Tokyo, they know Hiroshima, they probably know Kyoto, but they might not know Sapporo, they might not know Sendai. There's a load of other places that are really cool that have their own crazy shit.
You know, just talking about this, it's making me think about my holidays that I've been on in general. I've always been to touristy places, unless I was away with the army. And thinking about it, it's probably better going off the reservation type thing. Go into like a workplace, you know, see how they work. It's, you know, organised to go on a trip to see how these guys work, how they live, you know, and get into the nitty gritty parts of a country and a culture rather than just going on holiday and experiencing some food and some dance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that'd be much more interesting, like, even if you just went to work with them for a few days. You know, I think that would be pretty cool.
Well, one of the things about like Japan that's interesting is if like a town, for example, has like a niche, like a very niche thing about the town, they go all in on it. So if the town is like, you know, if in this area they grow apples, they fucking go balls in. Everything's apple related. Literally everything. There's a town that's kind of like where they kind of grow garlic, and everything's garlic related. The lamp shades are fucking on the street, garlic shape. You know, they truly go all in on.
Body.
If they go into something, they go full into it.
That sounds
Yeah,
really
basically,
fun.
yeah.
It seems like
So
they can
they've
have a
got
lot of
loads
fun
of.
with that.
Yeah, there's just sort of like, and because this guy basically, some of the Japanese tourist boards are basically kind of give him like, oh, you know, we'll pay for you to kind of go around here, here, and here and vlog about it, because it's like he's obviously having a positive impact with his content on those areas.
Aye, because they get extra visitors, tourists, and everything going in.
Yeah, and because when people go to Japan, they only stick to Tokyo. The rest of the country isn't benefiting from it.
Yeah.
So people like him going out there and showing what's available in Japan, like showing what's there, is increasing the tourist rate in those areas. And with Japan being such like a closed society, it's kind of helping open it up a little bit, you know?
That's brilliant. And that's the thing as well about tolerance of tourists. I don't think we really got a problem in the UK, to be honest, but you go some places. I went to Anzio in Italy with the army, and it was weird. There was hotels. There was maybe 2 or 3 hotels there that I can remember. I was pretty drunk when I was there, but loud Scottish, in their face. They really didn't like me, like, and you could see it, you know, and it's a tolerance of coping with tourism, as well as the fact that, you know, I'm there to spend money. You know, be as nice as you can, even if it's just tolerating them, but try and also be positive and friendly, make them want to come back. You know, and obviously, the more they get used to it, the better, because then they make more money, and then they recommend it to their friends.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. But I think like back to Japan for a second, it's like they don't speak English, right? Most of them don't speak English.
Right. Okay.
So you to kind of leave Tokyo, you need to kind of bring yourself up to a point where you can at least try and communicate with them.
Aye.
But now that's changing slightly. People are starting to be a bit more. Well, I mean, the Japanese aren't bad, nasty people anyway. They're making every effort. If they do make an effort, they love it.
As a tourist, it's always polite to try your best with foreign languages. At least learn to say hello. My name's Scott. How are you today? Right. I don't know anymore. Sorry. You know, that's
Yeah. And they'd appreciate
you
that,
know,
and they'd
aye.
actually be more willing to help you because,
You've made a wee bit of an effort. It's not a lot, but it's something to say. Look, you know, I've learnt this for you. You know, please help
yeah,
me.
yeah, I'm making an effort. Help me, please.
Hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Always try your best at everything you do. You go in a country, try your best. You don't go somewhere, right, expecting a bad time. You need to make the best out of what's there. If you go somewhere and it's a fucking shithole, make it the best shithole you've ever been to.
Yeah,
You know
that's it.
what I mean? Go, get pushed, meet people. I guarantee you, it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to get nice people somewhere. You know? Yeah. But that's the. Again, I suppose in the sense that's a social anxiety sort of thing as well, isn't it? People get anxious with strangers. They don't like change. It's a similar sort of.
Apparently Japan's very much like that,
Aye.
and the Japanese people are very much like that. They won't interact with you because they're worried of offending you by not knowing what you say, just as much
Right.
as you would be going there.
See, I've reached a point in my life, right, where I just I'll ask somebody something, right? Do you want a biscuit? Or no, bad example. Do you want to do a podcast on next week sometime? Aye, if you want. Any day? No, any day. Right. Monday's 6:30. Make it 7 half Monday. Right, fine. Just if you know they can't make the decision, do it for them. And then if you say, right, that day, that time, it either works or it doesn't. Right, okay, what about this day, that time? Aye. And I do it at work. I do it with my boss. I do it with every cunt. You know, I will work on the weekend. Well, I don't know. If you want to work this weekend, you get next weekend. I don't care. Well, you know, blah, blah. Right, I'll do this weekend. Ah, cool. No bother. I'll do next weekend then. Just make the decision, man. It doesn't matter what it is. Just make it. It's fine. Nothing's wrong with making a decision. Everybody thinks, oh, I'll let him make the choice. Sometimes that's not the best way for it. Sometimes you need somebody else just to go, this is what we're doing.
Well, that's it. If nobody made a decision, nothing would happen.
And that's what I do. See, when I get to a mini roundabout and there's 3 cars, I turn up and we're like, oh, they're roughly the same time. I just go. I don't care what's happening. I don't stop and like flag that guy to go or what. Nah, I just go. I don't give a fuck. Because I know if I go, the next guy's going to go. And then the guy after him's going to go. And it'll get everything moving again. Just make the choice. Just go for it, man. You're not going that fast that you can't stop. No, if it's a mini roundabout.
Yeah, that's it.
What an example to use, eh? Fucking hell. Mini roundabout. Good example, though.
That's it. Story of lives, man.
Yeah. Good fun. Aye. I've been on a health kick since the start of October. I've done 3 taekwondo classes this week, and I'm going to go for a
In
run.
4 days.
4 days in. I've done 3. The first, the second, and the third. I will be going for a run tonight before I go to bed. I'll do a run tomorrow after work, and then I've got 2 podcasts to do. Yeah.
Who's next on the list?
I've got Glenn, the blind guy from PeachCon.
Yeah, I know who Glenn is.
Aye. PeachCon Dino.
Yeah.
Get down, Mr. President. Yep. Good fun. Aye, he's brilliant. Actually, I wouldn't have asked him if I never had a couple of beers in me, but I just goes up to him. And again, I'm like, right, you, what's it like being blind? The fuck was that? I just got a pop-up on a laptop. What the fuck? Right. I was like, right, what's your name? Glenn. Right, Glenn. What's it like with your vision? He's like, oh, what was it, 70% blind in one eye.
Yeah, and his other eye's not good either.
Yeah, his other eye's fucked, I think.
Diabetic, I think. I think that's what caused.
Right.
It was actually preached on 2017. He got too drunk and lost his vision on his eye.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Anyway, that's his story. Like,
Yeah, well, I'll be talking to him about that anyway. But I just asked her, right, what's it like, blah, 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 blah. But you get, it's like I said before, see people that have something different or something wrong, or I've got a niece that's 90% wheelchair bound. She struggles to walk, she's in a lot of pain with it, and the longer she stays in the wheelchair, the more she can walk. So, and I just went up there, I was like, hey, what's it like being in a wheelchair? Is it any different? What do people treat you different? What? She goes, well, for starters, you're the first person that's asked me that. Everybody else seems to avoid the question. They've not got the confidence to come up and ask.
yeah, see, I'm the kind of person who just rolls up and just starts going, "Oi,
Aye.
What are we doing?"
And they respect that more because they know people. They're not being ignorant. They're being curious. Some people didn't ask, and I probably do ask the wrong way. But my point is, what's it like? How are you living with it? What would you wish that changed your daily routine? I'm not bothered about the fact you're actually in a wheelchair. I respect you for it because I'd be fucked if I was in a wheelchair. I know that for a fact. I'd probably be bored at my skull. No, maybe not so much bored, but knowing that I can't do something because I'm in it, that would bore me.
Yeah, you just find things to do in it.
Yeah, it's probably a bad example, but you get the point.
That's not a bad example. It's just you're not the kind of person who's going to sit there and just fucking accept being where you are. You're going to be one of those people that's playing basketball or wheelchair. Wheelchair basketball. You'll find a way to use it, an outlet from it.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know what I would do. Right, there's a conversation for you. Right, you've lost the use. Look, you can't use your legs. You've had an operation. Blah 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 blah. You're in a wheelchair for a year. I didn't know how we would approach that conversation. I was like, what would you do? What would you, how would you? But you can't really answer that because you've never been in that situation.
I have actually.
Have you?
Yeah, I hurt my back to the point where I couldn't walk properly, and that's actually when I started streaming and playing Warcraft, a lot.
Well, what did you do?
And I had my YouTube channel. I picked up something far too heavy, and ended up hurting my back.
What, you were stuck in a wheelchair? Or you just couldn't?
No, I wasn't in a wheelchair. I just couldn't walk.
Right. Fucking hell. How long was that affecting you for?
A couple of years.
Huh.
Yeah, a couple of years, and then sorry, 1 second.
That's fine.
A couple of years it lasted, and basically, I've hurt my back a lot since I was a kid. This is probably such a lengthy topic. It'd be suitable for another fucking day, but I genuinely fucked my back up a lot over the times, and ended up with, so I put it. If you do a repeat injury in the same place of your body over and over again, your body starts to anticipate you're going to do it again, and you get something what's called defensive tension, where the muscles in that area just constantly tense, ready to be hurt again.
All right, okay.
But it causes its own problems. So, I would walk around as if I'd be walking around, but my entire body would be constantly tense.
Oh, no.
Because I've hurt my back so many times, like the last time I hurt it, basically my body was so tense that moving hurt because my muscles were constantly fighting the movement. So, for example, if I lay down like at night, go to bed, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning properly because my muscles would be locked in place. and I'd have to break through the lock, so to speak,
Yep.
to get moving again. So it would take me like an hour to get moving because I basically have to like limber myself back up.
Jesus.
And what ended up happening was I got into the streaming because I basically come downstairs in the morning, take whatever time I need to get downstairs, and I'll just sit and stream all day.
Yeah.
Or I'd make a YouTube video or whatever. Then when my PC broke and I lost all those viewers, I was like, I don't really want to have to sit and go through all that again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of got two options right now: either sit and be depressed, or I could fucking do something about it. So I applied for a job, and they're like, "Can you walk?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." It's like, "Yeah, well, you need to do all this heavy lifting." I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine." And I just forced myself to do it, and then my body basically got used to doing it again. But I had to like fight myself to do it. If that makes any sense.
Aye. You force your, not just your body, but your mind back into it as well.
Yeah, that's it. You got to keep fighting it.
Yeah, there's definitely a mental component to it. You need to want to do it, and it's just like anything. Like, see, somebody's got an addiction. They need to want to get better. They need to want to come off whatever they're on, and then they can start healing and getting off it. Same thing. It's if your body's injured, like my knee. I told you somebody took me down the wrong way and I buggered my knee. I wouldn't kick with it in Taekwondo. I would kick the pad, but I wouldn't throw my left leg as a kick when I was sparring. So I had a choice: a front snap kick or a side kick, and that's nothing, or punches. But that reduced my sparring to like a white belt grade, and I'm like halfway to black belt. So it wasn't until Tuesday night we were doing warm up drills, and it was I had to jump, spin round, and kick the pad with each leg. First your left side, and then your right side. And it was then I jumped, I kicked, hit the pad. Well, I wasn't hitting the pad, I wasn't kicking high enough, but I realised it wasn't actually hurting my knee. And I think that's the first time that has happened. There's no strength in my left leg. I can't keep it up for too long, but it helps you set up kicks, makes additional movements, things like that. So there was a definite mental component that I literally got over in like the space of about 10 minutes. Because as soon as I started sparring, buff, I was kicking with my left leg, not a problem. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas the fear before was, I'm going to hurt myself doing this. But I managed to get over it. I wanted to get over it, but I was holding myself back. So there's definitely a point where your brain, maybe it's scared of what could happen. You know, protecting you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. And obviously the physical side as well. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm just saying, you know, you forced yourself back into that environment because you wanted to get better. You wanted to do it, and it helped you. Do you still?
Well, that was a key component of my recovery was I had to do the physio, but the pain was so ridiculous that you don't want to do it because it hurts, right?
Aye.
But it got to the point where it hurting was less painful than sitting around not doing it.
Right. Okay.
But I'm a fucker for hurting myself anyway.
Sorry.
Like I'm always hurt. I'm an absolute fucker for hurting myself.
Aye.
Like I think every preach con I've hurt myself. Every start con, sorry.
Doing what?
Like every start con I've been like. So I didn't really hurt myself in Amsterdam. I didn't hurt myself in Manchester, but in Berlin, we were staying on the Soviet side of Berlin, and I might have been very drunk.
Might have been.
And yeah, I was. I drank like 3.5 liters of mead or something daft at this meal I went to, and it's like 14%, and I was that my adrenaline was running pretty high, so my body was handling it.
Yeah.
But we're walking back, and we're on the Soviet side, and the street light's not great, and they've tore all the roads up, and they got these like dodgy little bridges over holes they've made. And I went barreling off this thing, landed funny on my ankle, broke a bone in my foot. Carried on walking anyway
Oh shit.
because nothing slows me down.
Well, if you're on adrenaline, nothing's stopping you, like.
Even the next day, I think it wasn't until I got back it was like, yeah, you broke a bone. I was like, oh, okay. And then in Portugal, the week before we went, I came off a ladder funny and I tore a ligament in my knee. And then my friend arrived in London, so we went around London for 2 days. But basically, I had like one of these step things on, and within 2 days, done like 100,000 steps around London, something daft.
Wow.
So, and then we went to Portugal. So walking around the airports and stuff, I'd done like another 80, 90,000.
Hell.
So at this point, my knee has started swelling up because of the pressure I was putting. Obviously, I'm a heavy guy anyway. Plus, I've torn a ligament, and now I'm putting all this pressure on it. And then I got drunk, and then tried dive bombing a kids' pool.
Oh no!
But obviously, my leg didn't lift because it's knackered. So my leg just landed in the pool first, and then I landed on top of it and I popped my knee out. And at this point, my lower leg is like coming out of place compared to my upper leg because it's just like the ligament's just not there anymore. And I still carried on trucking around because I was pissed off.
Fucking hell.
And like there was a point where like my knee was just like, it looked like my lower leg was like I had no exercise to it ever. It looked like a fucking peg leg because my knee was so swollen.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to get August on and talk to him because he'll tell you all the stupid times I've been hurt and just carry on moving like a fucking madman.
I'd maybe have to get him on maybe season 2 or 3, or maybe with somebody, because I asked him and Bex to do a double, so I'd get both of them on and talk to them. Obviously they'd be together, so it'd be easier to control. But I definitely want to interview 2 people at once, and that they were my first choice. But they didn't seem to be too interested in it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not really their thing.
Yeah. But, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea, eh?
No, they prefer to be on the other side of the camera. They prefer to be watching opposed to being on it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not bothered about people not wanting to do it. It's just part of the thing, eh? But I want to get somebody fit that I do taekwondo with, one of the black belts. I want to get one of them into a face-to-face interview and see how we get on with that, because I think that'd be pretty cool. You know, because they've obviously got maybe 6-7 years experience, maybe more. So that'd be good.
Yeah. My uncle and my cousin were both like high-end black belts at taekwondo.
Oh, aye. It's a good, interesting sport, by the way.
It's all right. I never got too into it. I always like kung fu.
Right. Okay.
Always like kung fu, just the style of it, the flow of it.
Yeah. My dad
doesn't
translate. My dad done a bit of that with my cousin.
Well, like people say, it doesn't translate into real fighting, but if you watch like what's his face? John Jones uses a lot of karate. Conor Gregg uses a lot of karate. Lyoto Machida, the stuff fucking he does with karate in MMA is amazing.
Have you seen Wonder Boy?
Yeah, Johnson, is it? He does some cool stuff.
I can't mind. He beat Hendricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thompson.
Aye, it was fucking. Joe Rogan was talking about him. He was. Do you think Joe Rogan's in love with the guy? He's like, he kicked. He kicked. Oh, what was the guy I just said? Johnny Hendricks. He kicked Johnny Hendricks in the head with this kick, and he spun round and kicked him in the head with the same foot, or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
He didn't know what to do. It was just a different style of fighting. Yeah.
But that's why if you want to like really appreciate things like karate and taekwondo, there's not a great deal of taekwondo guys in MMA.
No. It's a very.
Although you can go watch the Korean Zombie. Korean Zombie does a lot of taekwondo in his MMA. Right. But he is Korean, so it's kind of like natural for him to do so.
Aye.
But if you go watch Lyoto Machida, his dad is a like Japanese karate legend, That's just why he's so good at it. And then he's brought up from Brazil with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he's just got like a decent twofer going on.
Yeah.
But if you go watch his stuff, and the way he fights and the way he like focuses different body parts with his attacks, like for MMA, I've always watched UFC until recently. Actually, I only stopped watching it in the past couple of years.
All right.
But it's only because it got too much. Like it's on every other week. It used to be once every 6 weeks or something. Now it's like you can watch it every week if you wanted to, because it's got Fight Night on Fox, BT Sports Night, Ultimate Fighter, and the Ultimate Fighter finales. Then you've got the actual pay-per-views. It got to the point where I couldn't keep up. There was just too much on.
Yeah, I hear you there.
So now I just kind of watch the odd main event. Or if somebody said something was amazing, I go back and watch it.
I'm going to watch that fight tonight on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it Sunday morning.
Well, it's on during the night, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be. It's from... Is it Vegas, this one?
I don't know. That's what, 7 hours behind us? Aye.
Yeah, it's from Nevada. Yeah, from Vegas.
So it's about 7 or 8 hours behind us or some shit.
Yeah, it'll be 7. So it won't be until like 3 in the morning. The main event won't be on until like 6 in the morning.
Yeah, it's probably worth just going to fucking bed and getting up at like 5. Rather than watching everything else. I might do that.
I'll just watch it next day, it'll be fine.
If I'm working, I'll not be able to watch it. I'll just watch it on the Sunday, but if I'm off, then, I'll probably watch it. Yeah.
But, it's I was really into it, especially when it first came out. I watched I think I probably watched 1 to about 150, without stopping. Like I watched, I don't mean like I downloaded and watched one after the other. As in, I didn't miss a pay-per-view for 150 pay-per-views.
Holy shit!
I watched all of them. Like every month I watched them. Like I was super into it because, like I say, I love martial arts. I was brought up watching Bruce Lee and that. Right. And then when I was 18, I bought all the fucking. I bought all the Jackie Chan stuff and all the Bruce Lee stuff, and I bought all the Jet Li stuff, all the original stuff from like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Where they go into the different forms of kung fu.
How would you feel about watching or doing a fight companion?
What's that?
Well, Joe Rogan does it. That's got the idea for him. Stealing the idea. Basically,
he mentioned that recently, didn't he?
Him and a couple of his pals will get together and they'll watch the fight. But he'll be listening to it in his headset and the sound will be coming through his headphones. But you won't hear the sound or the video. You're just watching them and they're talking, like commentating, if you like. And they'll be talking about the fight as it's going on, as it's happening,
Yeah.
Obviously they have their own discussions during it and everything. But for the most part, that's what it is, They're commentating without it being on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to sit there and talk about UFC while it's happening.
Yeah. I think that'd be pretty cool. Obviously, need to be one in the UK.
It has to be on during regular hours. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Like fucking 6, 7 o'clock at night or something.
Well, either that you do it next day and you have to sit there and watch it. When you might already know the results.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love the evolution of MMA.
You could see
it's always interesting, and I love it when people come back with old styles and fuck people over.
Aye.
Because everyone's like, oh, the old styles don't work because yada yada yada, but they don't realize that those old styles are incorporated into the new styles.
Aye.
And that's what makes the new styles strong. But then there's certain fighters who don't understand that, and they stick to their set ways.
There's definitely no wrong way to fight. You think? I mean,
there is definitely wrong ways to fight.
Aye. But for the most part, I think they're actually reasonably. there's each thing's got its reasonable amount of effectiveness, and like there was a guy in the ring. I think it was the first one ever done. He done the flying crane kick right in somebody's chin. You know, you never.
Yeah, that was Leo Machida.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the son of the karate guy.
Yeah, you're never doing that
So
again.
that's why. But that's the thing. If you look at Leo Machida, people started using the straight leg kick because of Leo Machida.
Aye.
Because he used a straight leg kick, and nobody else did it. Nobody else thought just to boot someone straight in the knee.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, huh, that's really effective.
Yeah.
Because it just fucks the knee, right? Instantly fucks the knee. And he's like, well, and Joe Rogan was talking to him. He's like, why have you started doing that kick? And he's like, well, no one does it, and it hurts. So,
yeah, you land that properly.
Kick him. Yeah,
it's gonna hurt like
heel to knee. So you're stood, all your weight on your front leg, and someone just boots you in the knee. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna take you off your balance. It's gonna take you off your stride, and that's what he'd do. He's just like, everyone gets so into a mindset. You've got to stand in this stance. You've got to fight in this way. And people are trained by these different camps, and these camps train a set way. And there's ways of fighting that are completely outside of that, but you've got to be aware of it and do it.
Aye, definitely.
That's why some of the better fighters, they go all over the place. Like Cowboy Cerrone does it. He goes off to fucking Thailand and trains like kickboxing. He's a kickboxer anyway, but he'll go off and do Thai boxing, and he'll go off and he went off to like Japan and did karate for 6 months and shit like that. He's a fucking. If you want to watch a decent podcast, watch any of the ones with Cerrone on.
Cerrone.
Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Always wears a cowboy hat, drinks beer all the time, always pissed. But he does cave diving, and on his last podcast with Joe Rogan, he's on about how he nearly died in this fucking cave diving accident thing.
Oh, I think I might listen to that.
Yeah, fucking intense ass story, man. But you go watch some of his older podcasts with Joe. Like, he's a fucking legend. He loves to fight. He loves to drink his beer. He loves to go hunting.
Aye, and he doesn't hide it. That's the fucking beauty of it. You got all this media now that's fucking fake as fuck, and yet you get somebody like Joe Rogan. See, if he had a TV program, he'd be fucking amazing. It'd be the best program ever.
But it wouldn't, because there's one of his podcasts where he goes on about that, and he's like, TV programs, you get 10 minutes of content and you get adverts. You couldn't do a podcast on a TV because it would be interrupted constantly. Yeah. And that's why things like YouTube have kind of like dominated society at the minute, because it kind of breaks out of those restrictions.
I know. There's been in the past month, there's been maybe a half dozen videos that I've been watching, and then it's been interrupted halfway through, and it's played an advert, and I can't fucking stand it. I'll literally turn the video off.
Well, I've got like ad block on, right? But obviously, for example, Joe Rogan might have 4 adverts for his podcast.
Yeah,
that would get him like 3 pence or whatever.
No,
but obviously, if he gets watched 30 million times, then he gets like 30 grand.
That's like 2 or 3 hours long.
Exactly.
That's fine. I'm talking about like a 10-minute video.
I mean, I don't watch YouTube on my phone because I don't want to have the adverts on there.
Well, if I'm heading to bed, I'll sometimes watch one or something, But I like the advert at the start of my phone. Fine, I'll take it, But yeah, most of my consumption gets done on my computer because of that. It's horrendous. I hate it. I'll accept your adverts at the start of something. Hell, I'll probably put adverts on my podcast at some point. You never know. But I don't want to be interrupted. That's probably more to my point. The interruptions.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is why things like YouTube are killing regular television.
Yeah, and they can't stand it. I guarantee you, the average age for TV is going to be high now. Like, It's got to be.
It's why things like wrestling is kind of not doing very well on TV.
They need to put it online. If it was online, it'd be doing great.
Well, there was a comparison the other day of like the WWE content and their online content is getting almost viewed more now than their TV content.
Huh.
And their online content is just a watered down version of what's on TV.
Ah, okay.
You know, it's like a 10-minute version of what happened in the 3-hour show.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh fuck, I'll just go watch what happened in 10 minutes. I'll cut all the crap.
Yeah. It's definitely fucking TV is dying. And that's what
Yeah, and it needs to, because again, it's another one of these massive corporate nonsense, especially the American TV. It's all corporate bullshit.
Aye, definitely. And see, to be fair, even with ad blocker, right, I probably see more adverts than I would have if I watched TV.
Yeah, it's because the YouTubers are like wise now. They have their content built into their program.
Aye.
So like, if you're watching, like, I watch a lot of Rust videos because, like I say, when I was saying about Rust earlier, it's there is no way to play it. There is not like a set way. It's complete sandbox.
Yeah.
So everyone plays in a different way. So I enjoy watching the Rust YouTubers because they all play in a different way. Some of them will play in big clans on quiet servers. Some of them will play it in solo on busy servers. Some of them will play duo. Some will play trio, and you know they all play on different servers. They might play on a modded server. They might play on an unmodded server. And because they all play it differently, it makes all their content unique, even though it's the same game.
Aye, I know what you mean.
And they're all sponsored by like it's like you know what Steam gambling is, don't you? They all have like weird gambling for skins and shit.
Aye,
they're all sponsored by those kind of people. But you're right, that it's not the video doesn't pop up because YouTube put it there. The video pops up because it's built into their content.
Yep, I hear you. That's the thing now. There was a bit of stink up that before, wasn't there? YouTubers were getting sponsored and they weren't mentioning it, and they had to start self-regulating. Otherwise, these cunts would have got involved, or the regulator, whatever it was. But you see it now. We've been sponsored by such and such, and blah blah blah. You know.
Yeah, you've got to. It was mainly tech shows that was the problem, because they were like, hey, you know, like Linus Tech Tips. I don't think Linus Tech Tips did it, but they're one of the biggest. But they'll be like, hey, we're reviewing this fucking Chinese brand intercooler, and it's the best intercooler ever. Go buy it. But they were sponsored by them to say that, and it's actually shit.
Right. Okay. Got you.
So they're like, and they weren't actually saying, oh yeah, we're sponsored by so and so.
Aye. So you're obviously biased against it.
Yeah, and they were basically just they were selling it basically, and they weren't announcing, they weren't letting people know that it was a sponsored video. And there was a big kick off about it because it was a sponsored video, so they were being paid to say nice shit about it.
Aye.
And people were not happy with that.
That's one thing I don't like. If I get something, I want to do my own review on it. I want to have my own opinion about it. I ain't gonna do a fucking. If somebody gives me a graphics card and tells me to say, "Oh, they'll give you $1,000," tell them it's brilliant. No, I ain't doing that. I will try it if it's good.
Well, basically, like a lot of the guys now, they'll be like, "This isn't a sponsored video. This is my own opinion." And they will say at the beginning, because it's not a case of like YouTube's going to tell them off. I mean, YouTube will tell them off if they do it, but the fucking fans will shred them for doing it.
Aye.
If a fan finds out they're being paid to review something and then they give it a positive review and then try to sell it, the fans will fucking dick them. Because there was that guy with the CSGO skins. Yeah. Well, there's the guy with the CSGO skins. He was like, hey, I'm going on the CSGO gambling website, and oh, look, I've just won fucking, I've made money or whatever. It was his own fucking site, yeah.
Aye.
And that's kind of what kicked off a lot of it.
That's fucking outrageous. But that again, in a sense, it's like fraud.
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's just wrong. Like, it shouldn't have happened.
Because he was banned on YouTube for a bit.
Was he?
And then weaseled his way back on, yeah.
Oh, because they were letting kids gamble or some shit as well, weren't they?
Yeah, he was fucking getting all sorts. And there's a whole thing with Steam as well, and their fucking dodgy fucking user agreements and shit. Like, all the games you have on Steam, you don't actually own. So you bought a game, but you don't own it. because the Steam user agreement is basically they own it.
Huh. So if
Yeah, it's dodgy as shit, man.
If they ever shut
why-
down, you've not got a leg to stand on, sort of thing.
Basically, yeah. Because the issue is obviously you own it, so why should you not be allowed to give it to somebody? Because it's yours, and you're not allowed to on Steam.
Right.
Because in reality, you should be able to pack that game up and sell it back on like the Steam. Steam should have like a community shop.
Aye.
So it's like, oh, for example, Rust. For example, say I wanted to get rid of Rust. If I wanted to sell it, I couldn't. Right, nothing I can do about it. What they should have is I should be able to package that up and put it on the community site and be like, here, buy my used version of Rust or whatever.
Aye.
But they won't do it because it takes money away then from the developers because people will just be selling their own shit.
But at the same time, right, that's what happens with PlayStation games. But
yeah, which is why
look at how much. I guarantee you, they still make a fucking shit ton of money.
Yeah, but that's why PlayStation and Xbox are shifting, trying to push online content more than CD, because they don't want people doing that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then all the game shops kicked off because it's like, yeah, now you're costing us money and you're like putting our industry at risk because you're trying to fucking service yourself.
Aye.
So they have to have like a fine balance, but that's why. Because think about it, right? Why would you pay 50 quid for a game when you could go to a shop and buy it for 30 quid?
Nah, see, we've got
a way it's daft.
He's got shit internet. He prefers to buy the game because the biggest part of the installation folder is on that disc, and he'll install it on his Xbox, like FIFA or whatever, and then he'll just get the update on top of that when he puts it online. And that's why there is still a market for hard copies, be it not as big, but people that have got a shit internet definitely want to buy the hard copy. I think. Are you still there? Hello. I've lost you again. Hang on. Let's try again. I'll disconnect and I'll reconnect. Yeah.
You didn't lose me.
Oh, didn't I?
No, I just thought I had a chance to nip for a piss while you were talking, but apparently I wasn't quick enough.
Hey, you need to go for a piss.
I could hear you on my wireless headphones.
Right, okay.
But I thought if I time it just right while you were mid-sentence, I could run off, go to the toilet, come back, and you wouldn't notice.
Just
apparently
nearly,
I was a bit desperate.
nearly done it. You nearly done it.
Yeah, and I'm like, why is this taking so long?
It's a fucking...
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why the PlayStation and Sony and Microsoft are pushing so hard for you to buy stuff through their Play stores.
Aye. So you can't...
Because you can't do shit with them.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I just thought it'd be a good service to have, but when you put it like that, and saying that I don't really buy...
Because think about it, right? If you go to game, why would you buy the brand new game for 50 quid when you can buy the second-hand one? Now, Game are getting quite wise. The second-hand game now might only be 45 quid. It might only save you a fiver. But if you want that game, you're going to take the 5 quid cheaper option, aren't you?
Oh, aye. Definitely.
Which means less new games being sold. Where if it's all online, there is no second-hand option. Your option is you buy it online.
Aye.
And that's it. You buy it from them direct, and you have no option. You can't sell it. You can't buy it cheaper elsewhere. Because Steam got in trouble with the EU over it. Because the EU were like, no, if they're buying it, it's theirs. You can't fucking keep it from them.
Aye.
Michelle Watson's fighting.
Who?
She's a female fighter. She's hot as fuck, though.
What's her name?
Michelle Waterson.
Michelle Waterson.
Yeah, she's fit as fuck. Her nickname is the Karate Hottie.
Fighting Felice Herrig.
And that's the one, yeah.
She
was on that first. This is on Saturday. She's fighting.
Oh, right, okay.
You like karate, don't you? You might appreciate this. In fact, you will. Give me a second. This is something for later, but you're Go watch this guy's content. I'll stick it in general for you.
General. Have I got a general channel?
Well, information channel.
Information channel, yeah. Oh, is that the cunt? Aye, I've seen him. He's brilliant.
Best fucking martial arts on the internet.
Aye, he just fucking... He'll hit some cunt like 1,000 times and shit.
Oh, he does videos like that, yeah. Like his 100,000 subscriber video was all the different ways to punch somebody in the groin. 100 ways to attack the groin.
Aye.
4 million views. But it's 100 ways to attack the groin in 2 minutes.
There's one I've seen, I can't remember what it was, but it was basically...
It'll probably be that one.
Oh, maybe. It was what was it, how to punch someone, was it, I think it was like 100 times in a second or something?
Yeah, that's right, yeah, he did that one, yeah.
Aye.
But they shot it all and then put it in super fast forward.
Aye. That was brilliant.
Yeah. But what he does is he's got a series called basically it's whatever the martial art is bullshit. So it's like karate is bullshit, taekwondo is bullshit.
Right.
And he'll basically take one point of the martial art and then rip it apart and then be like, this is why our martial art's better than that.
Yeah.
But he's got Master Ken versus Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, aye.
And he gets like actual martial artists. And in fact, I think Michelle Watterson was on it. She showed him like an axe kick, and he's like, "See, what she did there is this, but you can easily counter this. So in Ameridote, we'd do this instead." And it always ended up with a punch in the groin because you got to remember to re-stomp the groin.
Oh, aye. Double stomp. There you go. That's the way to do it. Like,
Yeah, Master Ken's a legend.
see, there's a lot of YouTube channels that I've lost over the years. I used to love the Hagscast.
No, I kind of got into that stuff. I started it quite late. It was actually it was Preach who kind of got me into all that stuff.
Aye.
Yeah, I never really bothered with YouTube. I never watched it. Never went on the website. And I played my rogue. And I was playing Assassination Combat to a decent level. And I wanted to know how to play sub because back in Dragon Soul you needed to know how to play sub, and I knew it was going to be needed for Spine. So I kind of went on my way to find out how to play it before I hacked to basically. And then it was like, my mate's like, "Oh, go watch this video," and link me Preach's video. And that's when I was like, "Oh, okay, this is what YouTube is it?" And he's like, "Oh, he streams as well." And that's when I found out what Twitch was. I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
Because I had no interest in it. I don't have any interest in it. I don't, like, other than streaming myself, I don't really watch people on Twitch.
Right, okay.
But it was like, "Oh, I've watched that video on Preach." And I was like, "Oh, what's this other video?" And I was like, "Oh, what's this video?" And then you watch Preach and he'll be talking about a video. It's like, "Okay, I'll go watch that video." and now I just fucking end up watching YouTube all day.
Can you remember the first video that you seen of Preach's? Because I can't remember what the first one was.
Yeah, it was, what do you call it? It was this sub guide in Dragon Soul.
Oh,
where
right,
he used to have the really bad green screen where he was stood up all the time. He was stood up over his video was shot over the one where you're on a boat in Dragon Soul. War Master, whatever his name is. You had to fight the boss on the boat and you had to run side to side and soak the orb.
Deathwing.
No, before Deathwing. Before you get to Spine. The boss before Spine. You kill all tracks
the dragon on that.
On the boat.
The dragon on the boat.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
War Master Blackhand, was it? It's not that? No, not Blackhand.
I know what one you're on about.
It dropped that fucking trinket and he did. That's all I remember.
I've no played a rogue.
War Master Blackhorn is his name.
Okay. I've not got the patience for the energy of a rogue. Same with a feral druid. I can't do it. It's the whole waiting. You know, I don't know if there's a spec that you didn't have to wait, but I can't.
Yeah, outlaw.
I need to be doing something 300% of the time. You know, what's happening now? What's happening next? Right? What am I doing after that? Right, bang, bang, bang. Right, what's happening next? Boom, 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 boom. And and up until WOD, I was pretty much main enhancement shaman, and I was brilliant because if you weren't in melee range, you could start setting up for when you were back in melee range. So you'd refresh your totem, you know, you refresh your debuff, buff yourself, right, back in again, bum 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 bum, right, run away for the boss again, same again. So every time you went back into the boss, you had like a full minute where you were just constantly DPSing. You didn't have to worry about your buffs or nothing. And then Legion hit, and you had to start focusing on passive buffs. So you had to wait and make sure you had enough Maelstrom to spend on this and spend on that. And I'm like, nah, I ain't doing it. So I picked I wanted to be a fire mage, but that turned out to be shit. So I went Frost. So I was going between Frost and Arcane before I stopped playing on Sunday. And I just quit. I just can't be fucked with it. It's just, I think the game's broken now. Like
The content is not very good
no,
at the minute. They didn't improve anything from Legion. It's like, oh, that works in Legion, we'll keep it. So the big game is basically Legion with a new skin,
aye,
and people don't want that.
no. I want something different. To experiment with stuff. World quests, all right, fine. I can handle that, but it needs to be better. And these that fucking turtle shit. Oh, save the turtles. Fuck off. I don't want to save turtles. I want to kill shit. I want to murder something. Go into the water and kill 100 crabs. You know, I'll do that. No, it's just the way, like you said, it's just the same, but different. And shit, you've not got your weapon that you're trying to build. Now you've got a fucking your helmet, chest and what? Helmet, chest and shoulders that you're trying to build up, but you're not building them.
Yeah, I'm getting shit at the minute because I've not done anything. I've literally done nothing other than raid for the 3 weeks. I don't do anything plus. I can't be asked for them.
Right.
I didn't do my 10 last week. I forgot to do it. So like my gear is like falling behind people who are doing it.
Aye.
And it's like, I don't want to do it. I don't like doing it. I'm only raiding at the minute just to keep a raid team going, you know.
Right. Okay. I just can't be fucked anymore. I was trying to push into Mythic. Well, I have. I've been doing Mythic before. It's not exactly a fucking achievement doing it, but I wanted to try and push it a bit more. But the guild I'm in doesn't seem to want to push that hard, so I just can't be fucked anymore. I just I don't know. I might go back into it. I might not. But as it stands, no.
Yeah, the game isn't great. There's so many people quitting the game as well. Like so many people quitting the game.
Yeah.
Like they seem to be quitting in droves at the minute. So many people log in and just go, look, if I get kicked because I'm not playing. I'm just not bothered.
Yeah.
And I'm finding myself getting pulled back to Rust more and more. Because for the past year I've been busy, right? Loads of IRL shit going on, so no time to game. Even if I wanted to, I had no time to do it. I found I could just log into Rust, run around, cause havoc for an hour. And what I used to do is I used to log in and be like, right, I'll play, because sometimes in Rust it's about investment, especially if you're on the busiest servers. If you don't have the time to invest, you're going to get fucked up.
Yeah.
Because everyone's just going to surpass you so quickly and raid you before you can even do anything. So what I do is I'll just basically log in and just see what I could do for as long as I could do it.
All right. Okay.
And I called it nomading. But basically, I'd run around and I'd find if say somebody quite newbie built a base, I'd find out how to exploit their base, break into their base, nick their shit, and just kind of see what kind of trouble I could cause. And it got to the point where I was playing for half an hour and then I'd turn it off. To the point where I was playing for 4 hours straight because I wasn't dying because I was like doing so well. But I just basically played till I died.
Yeah.
But the best one I had was I logged in and I found a base. And say you built a base, right? You can put a tool cupboard down which stops other people building your area.
Right.
But you can put twig down on people's buildings. So if you had a base with a thing down, I could put twig on your building, and I could put ladders on your building if I had a ladder. But ladders are hard to get. And then I could climb on top of your building, or if you had like a window, I could climb through your window if it wasn't secured. So what I'd do is I'd run around looking for bases that were easy to climb into. So say they put windows on the second floor.
Yeah.
I'd find a way to get to the second floor, and then I'd go in through the window and have a look, mooch around the house, see what they got going on, and nick their shit. But what you can do is if you've got another person, you can jump on their head and then jump up to the second floor.
Oh, God's sake.
So I found a base that was had open windows around the top. I was able to put the twig down on the first floor so I could get to the first floor. But I couldn't get to the second floor, so I ran around and found this other dude. I'm like, hey, do you want to help me raid this base? And he's like, yeah. So I went back, got to the second floor. I boosted on him to the third floor. And then we jumped in through the windows, and they hadn't, because they thought they were secure, they left the doors open inside. So we basically got free reign of their entire base, took all their shit. Got fully loaded up on guns, gear, and they had some raiding mats of their own. They had a couple of explosives, C4 and things like that. So I took their gear and then went and started raiding other people. To the point where I was like, there was like a massive clan, and they were taking, there's like, the game basically has like every 4 hours a helicopter will come and patrol the island, and you can basically fight it.
All right.
So this group of like 4 people were fighting the helicopter. While they were fighting the helicopter, I snuck in and wiped them out, and then stole the loot from the helicopter.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And they then came hunting me down and killed me. But I'd hid all the stuff all over the map at this point. So the next time I logged in the next day, I just went and picked up all the loot that I left in these stashes, and then decided that I was going to torment them and just went out killing them for a couple of hours.
Evil man.
Well, it turns out they were admin and they were abusing them anyway, so it wasn't too much of a problem because they have community servers, and they're on the community servers. Like, I can have my own server, you can have your own server, and you can do whatever you want with your admin power. And I caught one of them cheating when they were taking down the helicopter. He was shooting the helicopter, and I noticed he wasn't getting hurt because the helicopter will fuck you up really quick.
Yeah.
And he was surviving the helicopter. It's like, yeah, he's got fucking God mode on. That's how he's taking down the helicopter so easily. Right. So I took down his mates, and then he came after me. But I hid loot everywhere, so all the loot I nicked from them, they didn't get back because I hid it everywhere. And I didn't have a base, so it's not like they could raid my base to get it back because I'd hid it in rocks and shit.
That's brilliant. I need to give that a go, like.
Yeah, I played it with one of the guys from PreachCon. We were talking about it at PreachCon. He came and joined me. And he's like, this game is like, because me and him were playing, and there was this other guy playing, and me and this other guy had a bit of an argument to start with, but we ended up making friends, as you do. And this guy built this fucking huge base right next to mine. And I'm like, I think his name was FaZe. I'm like, FaZe, any idea what's going on here? Because this guy called FaZe was going around raiding everybody. And he's like, no, I've not seen that. I'm like, yeah, this morning this was like a 1x1. Now it's like a fucking massive, great big base. So there's something going off. There must be multiple people in here farming away. So there must be a lot of loot in here to build up so quick. So he's like, do you have any mats to raid it? I'm like, I've only got a few bits. He's like, well, give me your few bits. I'll make it into the explosives, and then we'll raid it together. I'm like, all right, cool. So Tom's just basically sat there watching while me and this guy raid this other base, this huge fucking base. I'm like, well, if you look at the shape of it here, and here, he's probably got his loot in these sections here. And Tom's like, this is like fucking CSI shit. The way you're like dissecting the way the guy's built his base. And then we started blowing this base up, and he's like, everything you said was like accurate. Like the knowledge that we had of the game meant that we were able to dissect the way he built his base and figure out where his loot was and just
Aye.
basically rob him.
Okay, now. Huh. Seems like it's a lot of fun, like. It's got a lot of potential for the Sins yet.
I have loads of fun on it, just because there is a lot of farming in it, and it can be very Minecrafty, and you can play it Minecraft like if you want to. You know, you can sit there and farm and build nice big houses and shit. But the fun part comes in getting the loot necessary to fucking take on, like the helicopter, take on the tank.
Yeah.
They've got like a new, because it's an island, they're adding, I think it should be adding tonight actually, if it goes live, like a floating monument. So there's basically a cargo ship that goes around the island, and there's NPCs on it for you to fight, but there's loads of loot on it as well.
All right. Like a raid.
So
It's like a sort of like a raid thing.
Kinda, yeah, but you can do it on your own if you wanted to. You can do it as a group.
Aye.
Obviously, it'd be a lot harder on your own.
Yeah.
But it's brutal. Like if like I ran into you and killed you, I'd be able to just take all your shit.
Aye.
There's like no bags or anything. It's like you won't be able to keep your loot unless I left it.
Yeah. I used to play Arma 2, like DayZ and all that.
Started off like a version of DayZ.
Aye. Well,
that was kind of what it started off as.
All right. Well, I was playing Arma 2, and we had it was one of the islands they set up on a server that was basically you had to get a big group together, and you had to go pumped out ready for war, and you went in, and I don't think the zombies spawned on the island, but the NPCs were fucking difficult. They weren't actually that difficult. There was just loads of them. And
yeah,
they were accurate, like, and you had to fight your way in, and it was good. Wee fucking, like, you couldn't waste a couple of hours on that, like, you know.
Well, that's what Rust started off as, and Rust was one of the first ones to have the battleground, which things like Fortnite and PUBG kind of copied. In fact, PUBG started off as a rip-off from the guys who made the Rust one.
All right. I thought it was H1Z1 or some shit. You know, the battle
H1Z1 copied, because H1Z1 was originally like Rust. You'd go in, there'll be zombie-filled areas, and you could go in, build bases. Yeah, you go in, build these huge bases up, and kind of off you go. Holy shit!
I mean, when I first started playing DayZ, I come across these guys, and they started talking to me and that, and they're like, "Go down on your knees." I'm like, "I've got no idea how to do that. Press this key." Down on my knees. Next thing I know, I've been handcuffed and blindfolded and shit. What the fuck's going on? They robbed me. I only had like an axe, and then, yeah, they just left me. Well, they released me, and then they told me to run away. They had guns and shit. It was pretty cool. Just a wee bit of role playing in there, eh? Yeah. Is there role playing in Rust?
One sec.
Alright. Right, no ball.
Sorry, I just put Rust on and it's fucking really loud. Alright. Oh, sorry, I just turned it off.
What do you call it? Is there role playing in Rust?
People do that, yeah. There's like servers where there's like limited crafting options. So there's like there's servers where it's like medieval only, so you can't craft guns and shit. Right. So you can craft his bows. But they're like few and far between. And you've got people that build role player houses. You know, I've got porches on, and there's like a whole role player kind of like build set where there's like chairs and tables and picture frames and shit like that, and banners. So yeah, there are servers for that.
Hmm? See, I've tried role playing in Warcraft. That was weird.
Uh, one of my friends was on a roleplay server, and I joined that server to be with my friends. And yeah, I didn't get on very well with the role players.
Yeah. I kept getting tell off because I knew people's names and without being introduced to them and my spelling, my grammar and everything. Kept getting
They
told
used to
off
kind of like role play in Silver Moon, and I used to go into Silver Moon in stealth when I was a druid in cat form, just in stealth, and start saying stuff in Dash S, but they couldn't see me because of the level or whatever. And interrupting their roleplay, then I get told off for interrupting the roleplay.
Okay, now.
Because I'm a nasty pasty like that.
As you do.
Yeah.
Right, mate. I think I'm going to call it a night. We've been at this for a while.
Yes, mate. No worries. I'll link to a video, right? There's a guy who does. He doesn't always do Rust videos. He doesn't do very many. He's only just done the odd one every now and again now because he doesn't play as much.
Right.
But it's one of the. If anybody wants to get into Rust, that's one of the videos they should watch because it's fucking hilarious. Okay. He role plays quite a lot in Rust.
Aye.
But I've watched that video so many times and it's just so good. But if that doesn't get you wanting to have a go at the game, nothing will.
Yeah, I'll put that in the description as well. That's another good bit info. Okay.
So he bought all his snowboard gear off the internet. He got a Volcom and all these fancy snowboarding brands. But it fell through, so he sold it on eBay. But back then there was two eBays, ebay.com and ebay.co.uk. He bought it all off .com, which is international, which was basically eBay America.
Aye.
And he sold it all on eBay UK. And he actually made money out of it, even though he bought the stuff, used it, and sold it on. Ah. So he started buying stuff from .com and then just selling it straight back on .co.uk. And that's kind of, I used to work at the time at Curry's when it was Dixon's back then.
Aye.
And I used to be in my Curry's, there was a phone shop and it was a separate thing. But I shared all their systems, but I wasn't employed by them. I was employed by a phone company. But I had access to all their systems, and I used to have no customers because nobody went to the fucking Currys for a phone back then. So I used to sit there and go through their stock lists and find all the stuff that was cheap because they just reduced stuff, and to the point where it went down to like 99p. So I used to find all this 99p stuff, then hunt around the shop because I had nothing else to do, find all this 99p stuff and buy it all. And then I'd sell it all on eBay.
That's quality.
So I was doing that. He was buying the stuff from abroad and selling it, but he was really into his vintage stuff. So he started buying stuff for himself, old vintage, like Fila tennis shorts and tops and stuff for summer, and he'd buy himself tweed jackets and shit for winter. And then he found out, he'd buy it and then sell it for like 3-4 times the value. So we kind of like got into sourcing the stock until we found suppliers, and started flipping it. And that's kind of how we got into it. And then back then you used to be able to go hand pick from your suppliers. Now you've got to do everything by bulk, but back then you used to go and hand pick. So we'd go to these places and just rummage through tons and tons of like used clothes. It'll all be separated off already. So, denim shirts will be in 1 ton bag. Yeah. Jeans will be in another ton bag, so on and so on. But we'd go through it all, find random stuff, and then, we'd had stuff that we knew would sell, but then we'd try and find new stuff to sell. It's like football tops and shit like that. I don't like football. I can't stand it. It's a horrible fucking boring game. But I'm you can make some decent money from their supporters. Like, even now, if I'll go to a charity shop and if I see a football top, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's less than £3, I'll buy it because I know I can get at least £12 for it.
Oh, wow.
But as an example, one of these football tops, it was a Southampton shirt, And I looked at it, I'm like, I'm fairly sure this is rare. And he's like, why? I'm like, well, have you ever heard of Florida Air before? And he's like, no. I'm like, well, neither have I, and that's who it's sponsored by. So it must be either old or unique, one of the two.
Yeah.
And we got back home, and it turns out they only sponsored Southampton for a month, and then they had a massive air crash, and the company crashed.
Huh.
So this top was only actually available for a month, and it cost like £2, and I sold it for 130 quid because it was like rare as shit. So all the Southampton collectors were out for it.
That's something else. Wow. That's what I made.
So it's just a case of finding cool stuff, finding rare stuff, and maximizing your money from it. Which is where I get like the enjoyment from it. I get the enjoyment from ordering my stock, getting a big box of random shit, and finding the stuff in there that's actually worth the money.
Yeah.
It's like at the minute I just got a box of coats the other day. 2 of them are from World War II. If I didn't know that, I would have sold them for 50, 60 quid and not known any different. But because I know it, they're 200 quid each instead of 50.
Woofed. Well, hey, one man's junk is another man's treasure. Is that right?
Well, yeah, to a degree. Some people don't realise the value of the stuff they're throwing away.
Yeah.
Even like high street stuff, it's really daft. Somebody gave me a load of stuff to sell, and it was all from Primark and shit. I'm like, this is not going to sell for anything. And I looked, and I'm like, oh, there's people buying it. So I chucked it on, and I chucked this jumper on for like 15 quid or whatever, not really thinking much of it, and it sold fairly quickly. I'm like, oh yeah, I sold 15 quid. They're like, how? I only paid 10 quid for it new. Like, people spend more on the old stuff than they do on buying it from Primark as it is.
Oh, wow.
It's bizarre. Because they turn over the line so quickly. They turn over they change like stock every 3 weeks. So what you see now, you probably won't see in 3 weeks. Their main stock. They have the staple stock, which they have 6 months at a time. But the window display and all the stock that fills that window display is gone really quickly. So if you don't buy it then and there, you'll never see it again. So people look out for this stuff online because like, oh, I wanted that when it was in Primark, but I can't get it anymore. And they're willing to pay more money for it.
Playing a long game.
Yeah, well, that's how the fashion industry works, unfortunately. It's all about turnover. Just keep churning more shit out. And women just soak it up. They, new shit every 3 weeks. Buy it. So that's how H&M and Topshop and that work.
They employ people to work that out, don't they? Get rid of this stuff, try this stuff.
Algorithms, yeah. And it's all based around fashion shows. Fashion shows put the shit out. They send their designers. They basically rip off the idea from the fashion show. So these people that are wearing bin bags or whatever, that there'll be a certain style to the bin bag. So what they'll do is they'll take that back and they'll modify that style into a jumper, for example, and then that'll be this season's coming fashion.
Yeah, this is the end thing this month.
Yeah, basically, because I know people that are really into this fashion nonsense, and they follow it and they're like, oh yeah, you're doing this for season 18. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck season 18 is. Like, what we're talking about? It's like Game of Thrones, is it? And it's like they're like, how do you not follow this stuff? I'm like, because I stick to kind of what I know.
Aye.
And I'll dabble outside it only if I see that it's selling.
That's fair enough. How long? What's your future plans for that? Then do you want to get like a big business going, or are you just quite happy prodding along? And
the current plan is just to kind of keep it rolling.
Right.
I don't want to have to. I want to earn enough to survive, but the goal is I want to go and travel the world and stuff and see all of Asia.
All of Asia?
Yeah. I want to go spend... Well, yeah, okay, most of Asia. I want to go to Japan and China, really. Right. They're the main two. But it's like, while you're over there, you might as well pop to Australia and New Zealand, right?
Obviously. Aye.
While you're there.
And maybe Bora Bora as well.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not really interested in like Thailand and shit like that.
Right, okay.
It just seems one of those overdone places, you know.
Aye.
But
So I'd like to go to Korea. I want to go there.
yeah,
I do
see,
taekwondo.
Korea's never really interested me that much.
Yeah.
Always Japan. Oh, Japan and China have always interested me. Like I grew up watching bloody Bruce Lee movies.
I don't think I've seen
So
any of his films.
how have you not seen any of those
I
movies, man? Like,
don't know.
they are, even now, they're like the best movies ever.
I've not even seen The Godfather.
I don't not really watch any of the American mob shit either, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm not really into that New York bullshit.
So if I was going to watch any Bruce Lee stuff, what would you think I should watch?
Oh, fucking Enter the Dragon, Boss Man,
Aye.
Game of Death. Oh, any of them, man. They're amazing. They're like the Chinese version of James Bond, but he kicks ass.
Okay.
But everyone's like a different story, right? They're amazing to watch.
Aye.
And they're all so badly dubbed as well. It's brilliant. Well, there's all these Chinese people running around called Harry and Frank because they're like dubbed and they don't really know what like English names to use. So they just kind of use like really old English names to, you know, hey, Tony.
Hey, Tony. Aye, the Jackie Chan with an American accent and that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're dubbed by like Chinese people who speak English. So they generally, what do you call it? But you need to see it because his action, his like actual martial arts that he uses in the movies is legit shit.
Aye.
It's amazing to watch.
Huh. See, that's one thing. Since I've started doing taekwondo, I am no expert, by the way. But see, watching films with fighting and things like that now, you're like, nah, that he didn't hurt him there. Which is a damn fucking shame because I used to enjoy films like that. Yeah.
Like any of the Chinese martial art movies, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, they need to be seen, man. Especially considering a lot of them actually do the same movie. They just retell it in their own way. Fist of Fury is one that Jet Li's done his own version of Fist of Fury. Jackie Chan's done his own version of Fist of Fury.
Aye.
And it's basically about the occupation of China, the Japanese occupation of China.
Okay.
They basically their school is basically what's the best way to put it? Shut down by the Japanese, and they end up having a fight with the Japanese commander. So it's kung fu versus karate.
Alright, yeah.
And in the Bruce Lee one, he just goes in and fucks them all up. Oh, they do the Jet Li one as well. He goes in and fucks them all up.
Aye.
And it's amazing to watch. Like they're both of them are absolutely epic. But what I think the story is, the Japanese guy puts up an exhibition, bleh, words.
An exhibition.
Yeah, with the lead Japanese guy versus the head of this kung fu school, and the kung fu school guy just fucking dicks him, like absolutely fucking embarrasses him.
Aye.
So in a roundabout way, he either poisons him or he gets him taken out. But he basically gets this guy killed. And when the kids from the school find out, the lead kid, who's like the best of them, he goes and takes them all on. And it ends up with him having his own exhibition match against the Japanese guy, and he fucks him up as well.
That sounds like fun.
They're absolutely amazing movies. There's loads of Western remakes of Jet Li movies. You just gotta, once you watch the Bruce Lee movies, you'll kind of recognize loads of other movies that are kind of copied it.
Alright, okay. I need to get a go, like.
If you've not watched any of the Jet Li stuff, Jet Li's been doing action movies since he was like 7. Because he's like he's been doing martial arts since he was like 2 or something daft. And like Jet Li's another one who's like legit. If you've not seen any of the Jet Li movies, and even Jackie Chan, if you go back and watch the old Jackie Chan movies when he was in his 20s.
I've seen one,
like
The Drunken Master? I've seen that one.
Yeah, Drunken Master was a bit later on. But if you go back and watch like Snake and Crane, where he does all the animal kung fu stuff, he legit knows it all. He's tough as nails as old Jackie Chan. He did, what do you call it, that, what's one in Brooklyn?
Brooklyn?
one of his first movies in America. It was in Brooklyn, and he jumps off a hovercraft. If you remember, Rumble in the Bronx, it was called.
Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah, and he jumps off a hovercraft and he breaks his foot. So what he does, he puts his foot in a cast and then puts a fake shoe over the cast, and then he continues to run around on it.
Oh, I think I seen. Well, it was like an interview about that, and I think did they not take a picture of it? I'm sure I've seen.
Yeah,
a picture of it.
if you see it in slow mo, his foot's like 5 times the size it should be because it's got a cast
Aye.
with a fake shoe over the top. But he legit broke his foot in the jumping off this fucking thing.
Hell. He's a hard bastard. I'm like.
It's the martial art movies. There's so many decent ones, man. You've got your Thai guy. You got Ong Bak, Tony Jaa. He does like old school, traditional kickboxing, Thai boxing.
Aye.
But he does proper old school Thai boxing with like lots of flying elbows and shit.
I thought about doing some Muay Thai, but I don't know if I can handle my shins getting poked every day, like stuff like that.
Yeah. Some of the way they kick things, it's like, oh.
By the way,
especially to kick it wrong.
I was sparring the other night, and it was point sparring. So if you block it and somebody else doesn't see the block and it's actually a point or whatever, right? They'll shout point. So I had my left hand up to guard my face and my right hand down, blocking this kick. The next thing I know, all I hear is point. So I drops my left hand to receive a fucking foot right in my fucking chin. Oh, burst my lip. It's bursting like 3 or 4 places. It's sore as hell. And then that's nothing. I was fine with that. You know, it was burst. I was fine. I kept going. And you know what took me down? A 14-year-old girl.
Kick you in the liver?
No. I kicked her. My shin hit her thigh bone.
You kicked her wrong then, yeah?
Kicked her right
Gotta
in
be
the thigh.
careful.
Oh my god, it dropped me like... I've got like a lump on my shin.
Yeah, well, you know the issue there, right? The angle of your kick was wrong.
Yeah, I should
So
have
if you kick somebody... Well, no, even if you hit with your shin, you've got to have the correct angle. If you have the wrong angle, you can snap your shin bone very easily.
Aye.
I'm sure you've seen the videos where people kick someone and break their own leg.
Oh, yes. I watched that Anderson Silva live.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's because his leg kicks are so consistent. What's his name now? I can't remember his name. The American dude. I can't remember his fucking name. Either way, whatever his name is, when you kick somebody in that manner, there's a certain way of checking it. When you check the kick, it doesn't hurt either of you. Well, it does hurt you a little bit, but it doesn't hurt them. But what he did is he turned his bone out on purpose, so he made it so that it hurt Anderson Silva. But because Anderson Silva didn't change the style of his kick, he basically broke his own leg on him. There was a lot of people who... Weidman, that's it, Chris Weidman. Everyone said that Chris Weidman was like in the wrong almost because...
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he positioned it in such a manner that the result could only be that his either leg got hurt or broken. But Anderson Silva never adjusted for it. He just kept kicking harder and harder at the same point.
Yeah.
And he's like, it was hurting every time I did it, but I didn't really think too much of it. And because basically there's an angle that you're not meant to kick at, and Weidman basically ensured that every kick hit at that angle.
That's something else, like. Now that Anderson Silva, he's an old guy, isn't he?
Oh, he's 40 up now.
Yeah. He's a hard
But he just said that if Conor McGregor beats Nurmagomedov, he will fight Anderson Silva.
Oh, wow. That'll be some matchup, like.
Yeah, Anderson Silva said he'll be up for it. So there's like talk of a super fight if and when Conor beats this Russian dude.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. We've got Calabib this weekend, haven't we?
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, interested to see if Conor wins. Because if he does, like I say, I'd like to see him against Silva. There's also talk of Jones versus... everyone wants to fight Conor because it's just free money. But John Jones is all about... He's he's just grassed somebody up and got his suspension lifted, so he can fight in a month or so.
Oh, I heard about that. That's quite controversial, isn't it?
Yeah, there's talks that there was talk a while back that he would take on Brock Lesnar.
All right.
Because Brock Lesnar's back in the testing pool, and he's actually clean this time. Because after his naughty stuff with Mark Hunt, he's been made to be tested properly now.
Yeah. The thing is, it's got to be fair, because if they allow anything like that, then everybody does it, and it becomes outrageously fucking skewed. You know, you've
yeah. Well, because he got around it with the Mark Hunt thing. They're like, oh, you know, it's too soon. Like, we can't test him before the fight because it's on short notice, and he's coming out of retirement. So he kind of like it skirted a rule, but they tested him afterwards to find he was like fucking obviously on full blown steroids. Like Brock Lesnar was like in full wrestling.
Fucking hell.
Steroids, and Mark Hunt was not happy because obviously he just got beat up by a roid head.
Yeah, it's definitely no fair. It's not fair on anybody in that point.
No, it's like Joe Rogan said. It's like you should have two leagues, one for the clean, and then just have another group where they're fucking just taking all the drugs. You know, just see what the fuck they can do.
But then the one with the more drugs will be more popular, I think.
Yeah, of course it would, because they're fucking raging meatheads that don't feel pain anymore, throwing 1,000-mile-an-hour punches.
It'd be fun to watch, but it wouldn't be good for the sport, I don't think.
I don't know. George St. Pierre's always clean, and it's always interesting to watch him.
I love watching him. The first time I seen him fighting was after he broke his leg and he'd come back. And it was the way it worked. He's like, she's come back fighting. This guy's trash talking him that fucking...
Yeah, Bisping.
No, I think it was Nick Diaz.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a fucking dweeb, that cunt. And
but he came back, beat Bisping, took his title, then retired again. He came out of retirement, beat him, took the title, and then gave the title back up. Like, no, I don't want it anymore.
Fucking hell.
Just came out to prove a point.
Yeah. That's fucking something else. Well, I've got a few friends. I was doing a MMA training at the start of this year, and I fucked my knee. I got taken down the wrong way and stretched the tendon inside my knee. So I pulled out of it. But there's a couple of boys that are still doing it, and they've had the first fight the other night. One of them got beat, and his puss is all bruised to fuck, but he enjoyed it. He wants to keep doing it. I was like, hey, good on you, you know. But then the other boy, I think he had a black eye, but he won. And it's a different sort of sport. Like, you know, I do taekwondo. It's semi-contact. You're trying to score points, but you're not leathering each other. You're not trying to knock each other out. Hell, if you knock each other out, I'm sure you lose. Unless the person's got a glass jaw, in which case, you know, it's not your fault. But if you kick them too hard or punch them too hard in the jaw and you knock them out, then you're disqualified. You know, win by default. But yeah. It's a different... I don't think I'm going to go back into that sort of stuff. I might do boxing, because if I get a black eye or a burst eye socket or whatever, I can still work. But if I fuck my leg, I work on a chicken farm. You know, I can't walk. If I can't walk, then I can't do my job.
That's it.
So it's an unfortunate thing, but that's what I want to do. If you're going to get pissed, if you're going to go out and get pissed right now, who are you phoning? Who are you phoning to go with?
Ooh, who am I phoning? I don't know. I don't really drink, so it's not like I have a go-to drinking buddy. Probably Baz. You've not met Baz, though.
Nah, I don't think I have.
He was at one of the StartCons.
All right.
At the last StartCon. He's just a friend. He's in the raid team. He had his own raid team last expansion as well.
Very nice.
I don't know. Bit of a August. If it had to be from the pre-gaming committee, it's always August.
August. I like August. He's brilliant.
I'm going to his wedding in a couple of weeks.
Oh, very nice.
So that'll be my next drinking, without a doubt. That'll be when I drink next.
Are they getting married in Holland?
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going over to Holland for the week.
That's all right. Oh.
I can literally tell you all my drinking for like the next year, because it's so planned so far in ahead.
Yeah. When was the last time you had a nerd rage?
I don't really have them.
Nah.
No, not really.
Oh, fair enough.
I tend to cause them more than anything.
You're the fucking drama queen that gets it all done.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not really a drama queen. I just like winding people up.
Ah, right, okay.
I like to get a reaction, so I like to push people. So if you heard Mike on his streams talk about a guy called Pirowin, when Pirowin first kind of joined my raid team, he was a warlock, and we only invited him for a sunstone. And they used to get so wound up because we used to constantly remind him he was only there to summon people. And they're like, fucking do it. Just, what happened? It was a completely ad hoc thing that happened. Where we're in Throne of Thunder, I'm like, Perrin made a summon stone. And he stopped, and I watched him on my screen stop. And then a second later, he started running again. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I just said we need a summon stone. And he started kicking off like, "Oh, you're a fucking cunt," and like going off on one. So we're like, right, we need to do that again.
Just to wind him up.
Yeah. So doing it again, just constantly like, having a dig at him. Why are you sitting in the wrong place? What are you doing? Why are you in the wrong place? Just constantly poking him, getting him ready. And then I started having a go at him, like full bot having a go at him, like, "Oh, you're fucking useless." And he lost his temper and started screaming and raging. we did it on purpose just to get a reaction out of him. And I think Halloween recorded it all and we put it on the fucking girl site and shit. But that's, I mean, I instigate more than I actually do it. Yeah. I'm generally the calmer one in the raids.
I'm not calm in raids. I'm in this guild, we're doing mythic raiding, and I'm fucking, I died because of this, and then I get raised. I died because of this. And then as soon as we wipe, that's it. As soon as I see, right, there's 5-6 folk dead. As soon as he calls wipe, I'm talking until like 10, 9. To keep talking shit, winding people up, annoying them. And the raid leader's like, fish soup, be quiet. Alright, no bother. And then I'll see something. What are you wearing that for? That transmog shit. Yeah, drives the leader fucking scatty. It's brilliant. Good fun.
But yeah, it's not something I tend to do, really.
Yeah.
I can't really recall an instance where I've actually done it. There probably is. I've probably had a moment where I've lost my temper and shouted at people, but no more than anything else, Not like I've had a full-on scream fest.
It's been a while
Not really the way I carry myself,
Yeah, I don't think I've had a proper nerd rage for... In fact, I don't think I have had a nerd rage. I've maybe got pissed off and just logged off, but I've never actually raged at anybody. Not really. Oh, well. Right. I've hit the end of my list, mate. So,
really? Already?
Yeah, 2 points, though. Where, for some reason, it did stop recording halfway through. Because I stopped it when Discord went a bit freaky. And then I started it again, and then for some reason it stopped. I don't know how long it stopped, though.
As if you had me chatting shit and not recorded it, man.
I think we might have been at the squeamish arrested part, which didn't really have anything there. So, but I'll find it. It's not much. It might be like 5 minutes, and we've been talking for a good What's that one? 27 minutes. And what's this? God, it's hot in here. I'm roasting. Oh, I didn't tell you. I need to open it.
How long's the second part?
The first part's 18 minutes. The second part is 28 minutes. Hang on. What's this one? That's the one that stopped. There's nothing in that file. That's fine. I'll find out what's been chopped out. It shouldn't be much. It's definitely not much. But I'll just edit it so it's so it flows a wee bit better in case it's like cut half a word out or something, you know. But should be fine. Right. What's your how long have you been streaming for?
You're recording again now, yeah?
I never stopped really.
All right, okay. I thought you switched it off. No, so I streamed a lot in Mop.
Right.
And then I didn't really stream again until recently.
Okay.
But like I was streaming a lot in Mop. I got like pretty decent. I was getting to like 50, 60 viewers at a time.
Aye.
And my PC broke and I was offline for like 8 weeks.
Oh no.
And I came back and I was down to like 8, 9, 10. I was like, I can't be asked to rebuild it all again.
Demoralized. Aye.
Yeah, it took a long time to get to that point. I didn't really want to have to take that same amount of time to get back to it.
See, that's part of what. See, when I'm raiding, I'll live stream no matter what, because I want people to see, like people that are in the raiding or people that are in the online in the guild can watch, you know. And I think that's the difference between that, like streaming and podcast type things, because with a podcast, it's not really all at once. People can listen to that over like 3-4 days or whatever if they wanted to go on the way to work. So you don't really need like the immediate viewers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But this is my podcast number 5, which I'm totally chuffed with, by the way. But once I get to episode 10, that'll be the end of the season, the first season, and then I'm going to jig it up, see where I can improve my layout, maybe the times, try and improve on the scheduling, because that is the hardest part. You know, you say to people, look, right, what day on Monday at 3:30? He's like, oh well, aye, we could do. Or I'll say to them, right, I'm free all week, when you available? Oh, pretty much any time. Nobody's willing to say, I'm ready at this time. So I just throw a time at them. Like,
What's best it to be?
Aye. Who's on Monday? Oh, it's Nexus. I've got Nexus on Monday. I just says, right, 6:30 Monday. He's like, nah, 7. I was like, aye, that's fine. No bother. I've got Glenn tomorrow. And Mephisto as well tomorrow. But I'm on his podcast. And his area of discussion is content creation. So
right.
That's it's a different sort of different podcast layout to what I'm doing. You know, obviously mine's just a general blather, if you like. You know, talk whatever. But his is about content creation, so I'll need to speak to him and see what he's what to talk about before I get on, and then get on my P's and Q's. You know. Yeah. So, thanks for coming, Vanish.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Aye, no bother, man. Thanks for coming. Hagscast episode 5. I'm getting a dodgy nickname. It's brilliant.
Is that what you're calling it? Is it?
Aye. Instead of a podcast, it's Hagscast. I've put your link in the tooltip, and I've put a V as your logo. You know, I've got my Hager portrait, and I've got a big V next to it.
Just use the what do you call it? Just Google the Vanish logo for Warcraft. That's all I use.
Vanish logo.
Yeah, because it's an ability, isn't it?
Oh, is that where it came from?
Yeah. It's the ability for rogues to vanish. That's my logo.
Oh my God.
I don't keep it difficult, man.
Do not Google WoW Vanish logo. I'm getting a weird cream. There's a weird cream just came up.
All right.
No, icon. It's icon. Oh, here we go. Ah, that one. It's like a ghost.
Yes,
Pop smoke sort of thing.
the official logo for Vanish.
Aye. Well, I've already made the video, so during the video you'll see the other one. But I'll be able to make the tooltip as the Vanish, which is not a problem.
All right. Do you put this on YouTube as well? Do you?
Aye, I put it on YouTube and on a website called Spreaker, and you can, and I've added it to a couple of podcast players, so it will automatically download through that, or you can live stream it. You can stream it, you know. But I'll send you all the links to it and everything, and I'll tag you on Twitter as you do.
As you do.
Aye. So we'll call it a day, mate.
No worries.
Right. Thanks for coming. I'll hang up Discord, OBS, and then I'll say hello. Okay. Bye bye, everybody.